So you know the gentleman who's going to present is probably going to stand right there.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't trying to give his way.
How are you?
Who's in person and who's online? It's the Bolton person who's.
No, 511 is on here in person.
511 is here.
You can share.
273
I think they're on.
Oh, they're
predominantly on.
I'll share.
Okay.
It's a kite, 5 cards.
Good.
Yep.
Greetings and welcome to the Chelsea Land Use Committee. MCB4 has a hybrid policy that can be found on our website. Board members are expected to attend meetings in person unless they have a disability or extraordinary circumstance. Excused members and members of the public will still be able to participate virtually. Members who are joining via Zoom must leave their cameras on. And as a reminder, this meeting is being streamed live on our YouTube channel and a transcript is being recorded. My name is Greg Morris, and I'm happy to serve as the Chelsea Land Use Chair. Good evening, everyone. It's great to see you. We have 2 specific presentations on deck today, and I'm pretty positive we'll have a couple of old and new business items to dig into. But I think the focus is on the presentations. By the way, great to see everybody online tonight. Great to have you here. So, first item up, 511 West 25th Street. Come on down and introduce yourself.
Where are you?
It's going to give me permission to share. My name is August.
Oh, that's okay.
Come on down here, and I'm going to slide over that way so that get out of your way.
Well, thank you.
And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Appreciate your corner.
Take it order. There you go. Go ahead. All yours. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Eric Palatnik. I would like to thank you for having me this evening. I'm with Empire Assets.
Capital.
Capital Holdings. I know I can knock that up as soon as we started talking about it. Empire is the most important part. And that's Josh, it's Aaron Bergman in the back with us, and also with us is Fariba, our project architect, and August, our screen guy, and also made the whole wonderful presentation here. Is here. It's like he's like the guy, the tech guy, got all of the films in grade school. And also with us on the phone should be a couple of other people. It should be our environmental consultant is with us, and also Barbara is here. Barbara Cohen. He did the financial analysis. That's a part of the application that's in front of you.
Are those folks online? You know, or no? Can you see?
Barbara Cohen should be there.
Yeah. You want me to bring them over?
Well, if you want, your call. I don't need them right now. I'll make a presentation, and if you want to invite them in.
It's up to you if you
We
feel
don't
like
need
you
them
want
right
to answer
now.
some questions.
Well, they will be, yes.
Okay, so let's do that later.
Yeah, whatever you
Yeah,
deem as
that's
fit. So I'll jump right into the presentation because we've created something comprehensive, and then we'll come into the editorialization later and ask any questions you want. I'll follow whatever protocol you all deem. If you can go to the next slide. So what we're here to ask you for today is for a variance for a building on West 25th Street. And I'm going to show it to you between 10th and 11th Avenue. It's right next to the High Line. It's right next to America School. It's right next door to us on one side. There's residential all around us, except we're in a pocket of manufacturing, which I'm going to show you in a second. It's a manufacturing zoning district, as you can see. It's an M15 zoning district. And on the property right now is this building, which I'm going to go into greater detail with you. It's a 9-story building. The reason we're here is because it's an obsolete building that's been sitting vacant for the past 5-6 years with aggressive, robust efforts to lease it, and we cannot find tenancies for it. And the reason, as you're going to start to see as I go through the presentation, is because the building is obsolete. It was purpose-built as a manufacturing use with little cigarette wrappers that used to peel off the top of a cigarette package. That's what used to be produced there. And through the years, that was 100 years ago, and through the years, the buildings had a lot of commercial uses until COVID. And once COVID hit, the whole building fell to pieces, and it was never leased up after that. So I'll go through that with you, and I'll show you the deficiencies in the building of what's causing it to remain vacant and why it's not able to be put to any sort of productive use. And I'll go through what separates it from other buildings around us and what makes it different and what makes it suitable. All with the idea that we're asking you for a variance to permit a use that is not permitted in the district. The manufacturing district does not allow residential use. If it is approved, it would allow for 14 family-sized units that are able to take advantage of a property that's rather well, it's obsolete. I'll go through it with you. If you can go to the next slide, please. Next slide. Here you go. The existing building was constructed between 1915 and 1917 as an industrial loft building for the manufacture of tinfoil. The Reynolds Corporation, Reynolds Wrap, was the major occupier of the building. Through the years, 9 stories, 128 feet tall, contains 75,000 square feet. It's in an M15 district, also in the West Chelsea Historic District. The residential is not allowed. It's in a landmark district. Anything we do with the property, not anything, well, anything you do requires a landmark action of some sort. But regardless of whatever you do today, you could rest assured it's going to come back to you because the property will have work done, if it is to be approved, on the windows, the fenestration. The windows are not original to the building. So landmarks is going to require a commissioner's level hearing. People are going to come back to you, probably not me, that'll probably be, if it does get approved as residential, there'll be a landmarks consultant that'll come back to you, but that's if it gets approved as residential first. So I wanted to let you know that this is not your last stab at it. If you should see it tonight and it does get approved and it does get approved at the PSA, you even get another shot at it again. Next slide, please. This is the essence of the argument that we're setting forth in front of you. The Board of Standards and Appeals is an appeals agency. You can appeal a denial from the Department of Buildings and ask for a variance. A variance is an exception. It's a court of or an appeals board of last resort. You have to demonstrate that the building cannot, or that the property cannot be used for any permitted use because there are unique conditions inherent in the property. Through the years, that's been interpreted to include an obsolete building, a building that was designed for permitted uses but were being utilized. The city itself has recognized that. We lead the way in the country right now in office to residential conversions. I don't know if you're picking up on that headline. Change the law, residential offices to become residential. The reason why that's happening is because those buildings, many of them have become obsolete unto themselves and they were sitting vacant. This building is obsolete not just because of a market condition, but because of the building itself. Even if this building was in the best location in the city, which it's not for office use. It's a solid 15-minute walk from the subway. Even if it was, it still has deficiencies. And what are the deficiencies? Namely, the first thing are the columns. They're everywhere, everywhere. Like this, except more of them, everywhere you go within the space. These are spread apart pretty far, I'm sure, if you go through the building. And even these are an obstacle within the building. You can see what this does to your meeting room, how it stands in the way of it. Imagine if you were running your brand.
Come on.
I apologize.
This space.
This space is great, but you can see that there's a column, and the columns are, if you had a free span, it would be, anyway, you're right, though. This space- I take that back, the space is great, there should be more columns. So the other impediment we've got here is, you make a good point, and the space is really nice. I love this space. The other problem it's got is the elevators. You really only have 2 elevators. You got a freight elevator. That's done for, and the passenger elevator, and they're in the wrong place because if you're going to share a building, you want everything in the middle of the building because then you can design the building around the core. That's why everything's always in the middle, and that's what we don't have. Single passenger elevator, elevators at the front, column grid, a rear chimney. There's a chimney back here that's landmarked that can't come off. This whole back area, as a result, becomes not necessarily the brightest area at all. It's got a 10-foot rear yard, which is legal for light and air, for bedrooms and things like that, but it's not really ideal for office space. The really hot shot spots are right here in the front. You walk in and if you go and tour the building right now, all the light and air is coming in right here for the most part. And you'll see the apartments that we've proposed are orienting themselves for the most part towards this part of the building around the windows, with bedrooms that are probably going to be used for younger kids. They're going to be used at night and things like that for families in the area that are at the rear. So really taking advantage of the light and air. The other problem we have is we have no off-street loading area, and we have 85-foot deep floor plates with no rear yard. And what's not on here is all the plumbing for the bathrooms right now and everything that's in place is right here. You have the best views of the High Line from the bathroom. So the whole place is not really set up that great right now for any kind of use that's going to come in, an office use is going to come in and take it all over. Come on, go to the next slide. We'll show that.
Can you do me a favor, just back for 1 second?
Yeah.
Sorry, I know you're not taking questions now, but just for point of clarification. When you said the freight elevator was done for,
Yeah.
And that means it cannot legally carry passengers.
It can't carry passengers, and it's antiquated. It wouldn't be so modern, useful for a modern day freight.
Thank you. Sorry.
Next slide, please. This is the West Chelsea Historic District. If you're not familiar with it, now you are. I'm sure many of you were familiar with it before I got here tonight. We're obviously in the middle of it. Next slide, please. This is the building falling to pieces. And this is why we're here. We're not here with something like somebody said, yeah, this is a great idea. I'm going to speculate. Let's buy this building and let's turn it into residential. Not at all the way it went down in any way, shape, or form. Starting back in 2014, when life was sort of different around here. Okay, it was purchased by Prudential. That's the same Prudential that, you know, the Rock or whatever it is, right? Because New York City office real estate was the thing, right? So they bought it. We don't have Prudential life insurance because it's going to go for bucks. They spent $7 million renovating it and leased it to WeWork. Again, probably not such the best thing in the world, right? In retrospect, everybody thought it was the greatest thing in the world then, though, right? Everybody's on the WeWork bandwagon, and they renovated it, and it made sense because in 2018, everybody was still after the loft-style Class B office space building. You'll see a historic report of the building in 2002 when it was designated. It was filled with artists and photographers and accountants and service artists. There's a really thriving scene going on in the area with respect. That's probably why it was maintained as a manufacturing district. You'll see in the historic designation report, the building was built in 2002, top to bottom. So I can imagine people really liked that whole wide open loft space. I know I wanted to work or be or live in a loft space. After Ghost, the movie was still out in your mind, you know, right? But then everybody did all of that and it went bankrupt, and WeWork went bankrupt. And in 2023, since 2023 and 2024, they started trying to lease out the space. They could not lease it. They sold it in 2024 to Empire, who's here now. Empire is in the business of maximizing returns. They would make the most possible use of the building that they possibly could without coming for a variance. They're not in the business of going for variances. They buy properties, they redevelop them, and they go ahead and buy. They do not get discretionary approvals. They bought the building as a package with the building next door to the left of us, with the intention thinking maybe they would use the, yes,
East, west,
left, west. And I'll show you that building in a second. That's a 4-story low-rise building. That building, and I'll show you a report in a second. That building works well for self-storage, which is one of their businesses. This building does not, because of everything I just went through. We have a report. We'll explain that to you what the problem is. So they couldn't use it for their self-storage. They tried to get schools in there. They tried to get all sorts of tenants. They had a musical performance space that they tried to get in there. All sorts of office users. I have a list of the different uses that they tried to get in there. Coinbase, OpenAI, Harvey AI, Pinterest. I mean, these are that company, another company, Tempo. I don't even know Tempo. All of them are showing these spaces, this space. Every single entity rejected it, including a school that negotiated with them for 5 months to come in. And after doing a financial analysis, the board of directors said, no way, it's a money pit. We're going to spend more money rebuilding this 100-year-old building than if we built a building ground up. It's an old building. I mean, and they put $7 million in from WeWork, but they didn't put enough in to bring it to this level to complement you. It does not look like this. It doesn't. It looks like a 100-year-old building that was retrofitted, and it's not the same as what we're standing in right now. This was expensive. I don't have to tell you. You probably watch the budget for this. It's probably expensive. It's a nice room. It's a very nice room. I mentioned it. Go to the next slide, please. Have I made up for my misspeaking yet? This site and its proximity to everything else around it. This is the dividing line. Residential is allowed over here. Manufacturing is allowed over here. Except for shh, don't tell anybody. I don't know what goes on in that building, but I can virtually guarantee you there are a few beds in that building. Okay. The block is a quiet block. This block, if you have not hung out on it recently, you could lie down in the middle of it probably for a good hour before anybody even comes across you. Nevertheless, a car. I'm talking about humans as well. It is one of the quietest blocks I've ever walked into in Manhattan in my entire life. I cannot get over the tranquility of the block itself. And the reason why, I'm going to show you in a second, all of these uses that are around it, none of them are manufacturing, even though it's a manufacturing zoning district. They're all lightweight community facility, artistic kind of gallery kind of uses. None of them, you don't have Amazon in there, you don't have any manufacturing in there, you don't have anybody building anything, anybody creating anything, you don't have any trucks, you don't have any deliveries, you don't have any forklifts. I can count more forklifts on a street in Williamsburg than there are over here. There's literally very little activity. It's a beautiful neighborhood, it's a beautiful block, you know that. Next slide. This is the slide I was describing. These red uses show you, well, we're in M15, there's not a single active manufacturing use on the entirety of the block. And in fact, there are two small little residential uses. I think there's like a super or something living in a building. But really just gallery spaces and things related to galleries and not-for-profits and things like that, which we've tried to market ourselves to. We have been relentless, and we have brokerage reports from BKRE, Bob Knackel. We have brokerage reports from Empire Capital themselves, who, like I said, are in the business of real estate. They don't just, they're a real estate holdings asset company. That's all they do is scour uses and potential uses. And they couldn't find really anything to do with this space. This one they made use of, and I'll show you that in a second. Next, and this is the Avenues World School, by the way. This just gives you some more idea of what's going on around us with residential and where we are in this little pocket where we're stuck in this old zoning. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. So this is the building in its section. Fariba's here, she's the project architect. She can go through everything with you in detail. We have to prove 5 different findings in order to achieve the variance. We have to prove that there's something, and for those of you done this for the years, so I apologize for boring you. We have to prove that there's something different about the property than other properties in the area, that there's something unique about it. So for example, I can't just come to you with a building that is a Class B office space that was designed in the 70s, and it's just not getting tenancies, and it's a market condition. I have to show you that there's something going on in this building that's different, that afflicting it from other buildings. Here, like I mentioned before, it's the column placement, it's the core placement, it's the location of the property itself, nowhere near any subways whatsoever. It's the suitability of it next to the High Line. It's all of those different things that we mentioned. I then have to demonstrate that those issues allow for no reasonable return on the allowable uses. Now, we have in this large packet in front of you, which most of our plans, the back are plans for a self-storage development and for an office development. And it's also for the proposal, which is a residential. We gave you all those to show you what's allowed to be built there. So you could see that what we did was we created plans, and Barbara, who's on the phone, does a financial analysis and demonstrates that that loses money. And Mr. Bergman is here too tonight, and he could tell you that loses money too, or he wouldn't be going through this process. They're desperate to try to find an allowable use. And they'd even accept one today. If somebody at the table came to us and said, hey, listen, we have a tenancy that we think this is not a fait complete. Remember, we've told you we are here to try to get reasonable use out of the property. If reasonable use, one of you would come up to us and say, you know, we have a school that really wants the space, we could talk to you about that. Or we have this that really wants the space, we could talk to you about it. We're here to listen to you. We didn't come in with a predisposed plan of that it has to be this, and we're still not at the predisposed plan. It's just that this is really the only viable thing that we could make use of the property with. Next slide. It's interesting to just know from a historical perspective about the building. This is a building, I think, from the 1930s. Shows you originally it had a couple of loading berths down at the bottom. Eventually they connected to the High Line. And this is the building to the west that I mentioned a moment ago. This has since been applied for and approved at landmarks preservation and owned by Empire for self-storage. And this has big wide open floor plates. It lays out nicely. It doesn't have the columns. There's not tremendous amount of elevator vertical movement within the building. And that's why that's suitable. If you go to the next slide, please. Landmarks, we've spoken about it quite a bit, but really the most important part is going to be the windows. The windows are all going to be changed on the building. The rest of the building is pretty accurate from what our consultants tell us with respect to landmarks. If you looked at the facade and the picture I just showed you from the 30s, not much change has happened on the facade itself. It's all the same material. It's got the same concrete work on it, all that jazz. So nobody's made any dramatic changes up top, but the windows have already been blocked out. If you go to the next slide. That summarizes our proposal. The remainder of the slides are all slides that show the plans, which we'd be happy to go through. I'd also be happy to talk more to the brokerage reports and what they've done to try to market the property, if you wanted to talk about that, or we can just answer any questions you may have. Everybody's online or here.
All right, so I'm gonna ask the folks in person first about their questions, and then we'll switch online. Just to recap for us, the ask of us is what?
Yeah, for a variance to approve a conversion of the building to residential use to allow for 14 apartments.
Question?
I will tell everybody, we did do a pre-meeting with them as well. But can you touch on the two things we talked about at pre-meeting was the sub-district areas of the special Clinton, special Chelsea district? Because we are an historic district, we're also on the edge of the special Clinton.
Can you speak to the sub-district?
The sub-district issue.
There's no.
Right, that's what I told you, Karen.
So there are sub-districts on.
Hold on one second. Can we-
Roger,
are we-
Roger.
yeah, you-
Come on up for a second. Stand up here.
Thank you.
I thought that was the answer. Thank you for giving.
Yeah, I know the answer was no, but I wanted, there were people in the room that know sub-districts and I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
That-
so
that's-
you're
thank
actually
you.
located. This is 25th, you're located right here.
So we're outside of the sub-district. Chelsea district. And then the second question I wanted to ask was about any development rights that could be moved off this site, onto this site, onto the adjacent site, anything along those lines.
Sure, we have no development rights that are being transferred or anything of that sort. We are overbuilt already and we're not asking for any more development rights out of it. But the building next to us, if you can go to the, maybe go to a tax map, I think is probably the best thing to go to. Go to tax map, we'll show it, there you go. Lot 13 has sold off all of their development rights going this way, so they cannot go any higher on this lot right here. And our building, which is 9 stories, cannot go any higher at all, and it's not affiliated with any other lot, it's totally separate from the lots around us.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Other questions in the room? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just curious, did you have any communications with Avenues, that school, that maybe they'd be interested in an annex to their, I mean, it's right across the.
I know we've been trying hard for schools, so
We did.
Aaron, you wanna come up and
Come on
just
up
introduce
here,
yourself?
Come on up here.
Thank
You
you.
got it.
Yeah, so the
This is
school would.
Aaron Bergman with Empire.
School would be a very desirable use for us. From a purely practical standpoint, it would be a lot easier for us to negotiate a lease with a school than to, go through the full development. We've tried and unsuccessfully, Avenues in particular. There were rumors in the real estate community that they were out looking, and when we bought the building, unfortunately, there's no interest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We feel the same way.
it would have been much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yay.
Presumably, you could invest some money in moving the elevators, say, and making the building more desirable to tenants.
Yeah,
I noticed the building immediately north of this one, you can see into the windows from the High Line. There's an auction house in there, an architecture firm. It seems like a very vital building.
which one is that?
It's the building immediately north on 26th Street.
Your backyard neighbor.
Right across the,
It's the artist building.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So that's like a branded kind of building.
yeah,
It's the artist building. It's
are you
called
kind of
artist.
artificially imposing a constraint by not simply moving the elevators so that when people come in to look at the space, it just doesn't appeal to them.
The elevators could be moved. The problem is that it's the elevators, it's the windows, it's the column placements, it's the location of the building 15 minutes away, because they would walk from the subway up the building you're describing. I'm not familiar until you're just describing it, but it sounds as if they've got their niche and their niche stuck with them through all the changes of life. But this building doesn't have that niche, and attracting that doesn't exist anymore.
So you're saying that luxury housing is the only use that will provide the revenue?
No, yeah, basically, yes. It's not just the elevators, it's the column placement of it's the core of the building, it's the light and air of the building. it's the location of the building, so it's a confluence of factors, not just one single factor. It's causing it, and the movement of the elevators, just so you know, doesn't make sense, not just for we've marketed the building to numerous office users relentlessly and robustly since 2024. And the previous owner marketed it before that, since WeWork left. The draw these days in these buildings, just so you know, is the community that a building brings to it. That's what attracts people. Gone are the days where I'm just looking as a lawyer for a nice office. If I want to attract good quality staff, the gold medal these days is what JP Morgan just did over at 42nd Street, where you create an atmosphere conducive to people coming into the space. And I think we could all see this happening all around us. This building doesn't have even that opportunity to create that because of the column placement, because of the cores. And again, the distance from the subway makes it so that you really have a very limited marketplace of who you're going to attract. You're not going to get a workforce that's coming in from anywhere other than the immediate geographic region.
We did just weigh in on a really massive modification of the terminal warehouse building, which is even farther from the subway, and that was converted from storage to office space. They even introduced a central court.
How large is that development?
It's a very large development.
Well, there you go. So I'm willing to bet it's got cafeteria, it's got food service, I'm willing to bet it's got amenities, I'm willing to bet it's got recreation space, I'm willing to bet it's got lounge space, I'm willing to bet it's got tremendous communal space, I'm willing to bet it's got outdoor space. These are the things that bring people. If you want to bring people somewhere, you need to create a draw for them. And that's same thing we saw on the far west side of Manhattan.
It's one block away. You should know about it. And the Starrett Lehigh building is right up the road. So the pitch that it can't be an office building is just.
The Starrett Lehigh building.
Terminal warehouse, which is immediately south of Starrett Lehigh. But Starrett Lehigh has restaurants and food court, it's.
These are all the things.
I don't want to pick and argue with you.
We have some other folks with questions too, so I just want to make sure we're getting some folks in. But do someone from your team want to weigh in?
I just specifically.
Gotta be on screen to do it.
Come on, you gotta-
You gotta be up there.
You can probably get seen if you just stand, by the way. but-
Nope.
Terminal warehouse, it's a very different building, it's a different scope and level of amenities like Eric discussed. But also, as far as I know, I don't think they've leased space there with the exception of the Equinox lease. That's the only deal I'm aware of that they did. That's also not a conventional. No, not necessarily become a terminal warehouse or sorry. Terminal warehouse. As far as I know, the only deal they've done is for Equinox, which is not a conventional office user.
All right, let's get some other questions in. Katie, I saw your hand up next.
Yep. So I'm unclear as to how the building is set up at the moment, because you said that there was $7 million. You said $7 million didn't do a lot, but is it set up as cubicles, as small
No,
offices?
so you walk in, it's wide open floor plates that you can build out however you'd like. WeWork had it set up so that the floors were already finished, so it had new floors in, or we finished floors, and then it had kitchens in the back. This can get to the existing conditions. Just what floor are we on here?
First floor plan.
Go up to the second floor if you can. Go up one more floor if you can, just so okay, so this is a good example of how it's set up. So you've basically just got wide open spaces where people can do whatever they want within the spaces. The walls
But there
are,
are walls.
but the walls are removable. They're drywall. It can just be taken down quite easily.
I just had two more quick questions. One, as the attempts have been made to market the building, have the attempts been specifically to market it, the whole building? Or have there been efforts to?
Everything. There was a 6-month negotiation with the school to take the entire school. There's a negotiation with the music venue to take the entire building. The building has been offered to all the names of the companies that I just mentioned a few moments ago. Larger corporations that would be interested in taking full floor plates and things like that. There's been no interest in it. For 7 years, or 6 years.
All right, and then you had mentioned earlier, I guess I was just curious about, it was unclear about your answer about the freight elevator. You said it can't be used at all right now?
The freight elevator is obsolete. It was utilized during different times, so the cab would have to be replaced and all the machinery would have to be replaced within it. So although the shaft still exists, the equipment itself is outdated. So if you're building a brand new use within the building, you'd want to put in a brand new elevator system, sort of tantamount to driving a 25-year-old car.
But
You know,
it does work as a freight elevator.
It does work as a freight elevator, same way, like I said, like a 25-year-old car would, but it would have to be invested in.
So when you were
brought up to
marketing
speed.
it, you were marketing it with whoever.
Everybody is willing, yes.
Us to replace.
Oh,
the
yeah,
elevator.
no, well, we would be, all kinds of concessions are willing to be made. If everybody could come to something that made sense on the property, so that wasn't preventing anybody from taking a leasehold interest in the property. If they could come to a terms that it made sense for everybody, they'd put in new elevators and like.
Jessica.
Yeah, hi, I'm just
Hello.
not clear, in the suggestion that it could be residential, I mean, we were kind of joking about this column here, but the reality is we do find it to be a difficult component. How does that work in a residential setting? It would seem equally unattractive in residential.
Residential, it gives a flair. People find it unique to live in a loft building with column spaces within a building. It's not as much of an adverse reaction as an office space, where you're creating a space that's what, to use another office, for example, that would want a clear span floor plate to bring their teams together in such a way. It does start to interfere when they're spaced routinely so far. There's a limit to how you can, and maybe Fariba, can you speak, Mabel, because you design, maybe you can speak from a spatial constraint, why it's so much more of an imposition upon a work environment than it is upon a residential environment.
Yeah, sure. So actually, this is a very good example because in the office setting, presentation and all that is very difficult to work with the columns. But in a, let's say, living room, it's not, let's say if this was a living room, it would be very different to have a column in here because you have space, you have, it actually defines the spaces. You can put the dining table there, you can have the living space here. So it's a little bit different in terms of the use.
Question answered? Okay. Just,
I have a couple questions. So I think I understand why you're saying that, you believe the only use you get out of the space is conversion to residential. Can you just go into more detail though about why the only then design of your residential units are just these 14 units, several 5-bedroom units, why you can't get more units out of this space? I believe it has to do with the light and the walls, but if you could just talk more about that.
Can you bring up the residential footprint?
Yeah. Sure. So actually go to the typical floor, maybe one more floor plan. Okay, here. So the way we actually started with the smaller units, but it didn't work out because of the light and air actually. On the lower floors especially, we don't have much of light here because we have the next. Here up to second floor, there's really not a lot. And then we have the high line here. So what we suggested was that the living spaces are facing the street. And then the bedrooms are in the back where it's pretty dark. There's only 10 feet here. And then upper floor, we have a little bit more room because of the next door building. So we get a little bit more light, but this area is pretty dark.
And that's what I assume the answer would be. And then my second question is just, I think an important point that on your slide that you skipped over is that you plan on reserving your ground floor, the retail space for, to serve the arts neighborhood, and you're hoping to have, a gallery tenant or something similar.
let's, we need to go to that, can we go to that slide?
Yeah.
If you're referencing a slide, I think it's probably good.
If you can go to the slide that, he doesn't remember the slide.
I'm forgetting about.
Yeah. Looks like that.
I have the first floor plan open here.
Yeah, but we're looking for this slide in particular. He's got a location number of the slide, by the way.
Yeah, there it is, that's it.
You did good finding it.
So
Good
can
job.
you talk more about what that commitment actually is, how that works? I mean, is it the kind of thing, hey, we'll look for 6 months, but if we can't find someone who becomes a Dwayne Reed, how does it? What is it? It's just a nice, a nice point that you put in here, or what?
We're ultra committed to it. There's not that much space at the ground floor for commercial. I forget the exact square footage, so it's You know the number, I don't tell you.
I don't know.
It's not that much, so we are committed to it, we'll put it in writing. We believe it fits in with the vibe of the block, we believe that's what the block is all about, it's within the spirit. And that's not the make or break on the building.
Well, that actually is
Plenty of
important.
local retail nearby.
Yeah, that actually was for the crux of my question, which is like, right, how much of the financial feasibility of this relies on the renting of the retail space? Because if it doesn't, it would be really wonderful to be able to, you know, try to find like a nonprofit to put in there, something arts related that isn't.
No, we can certainly work with
necessarily
you on that
like-
idea
yeah,
too. We're happy to talk about it.
Any other questions, Joseph? Before you ask it, I'm gonna ask if anybody else in the room has any other questions. Board. We go to online too, any of those folks in the data welcome to. I just want to see if any of our online.
Yeah, I'm sorry, so you can't, I forget you can't see it. So Carrie, Hector, their hands raised.
Let's get them in first. Carrie, and I'll come back to you. Carrie.
Hi, thanks. Jesse asked my main question, and I still would kind of push back to ask it again and see if there's any way to get, you know, instead of, I assume that the 2,000 square foot duplex is on the top where all the light is. Is that right? So I guess we're always pushing, you know, if we're going to give a variance, we want to make sure we get as much housing as possible.
Let Carrie ask her question, then we can answer. Go ahead.
Right, so the top floors are actually penthouse floors, so they are connected at this point, and the elevator will bring it one floor up to make it accessible.
She says we can get more units out of the building though by separating those floors. Cutting them.
It's difficult because the top floor is very small floor plate. So if you can go to the very top floor, I can show it to you. One more, one before this one, yes. So as you can see, this is an existing space. It's too small for a unit, for a penthouse unit. So it's combined with the lower floor.
Okay, I mean, I'll just say again, like, I think you hear what we're saying, right? Like, if you want to put the 5 bedrooms on the first, second and third floor that are dark, you might be able to get more space, you know, by cutting up the top floors, which are lighter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm understanding your question.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you will always find us asking for this at CB4. I wanted to know, this is really a question to educate me. Do you speak to the Friends of the High Line when you build near the High Line? And I don't know if you're planning on like adding any windows to the side that faces the High Line or anything that are, you know, above the High Line.
We are adding, actually, if you go to elevation. So on the elevation, this is the High Line, as you can see, and the marked pink windows are the windows we are adding. The brickwork actually has the outline as we are showing it, and we are just opening some windows on those locations.
Can I ask a clarification on that?
Hold on, let me just see Carrie. Let's finish Carrie's deal.
Well, really, my question was, do you present to the Friends of the High Line and get their input on, you know, when anything's kind of being built that actually like could interfere with the enjoyment of the High Line?
We have not spoken to them, but that's a good idea, and we will.
Paul, what were you asking?
So in that image, the red right there is closed in with brick and you're replacing that with glass.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Hector, have a question online?
Well, I just have one more quick thing, Greg. It's which is about trees. There are no trees in front of the building that I could see. Can you plant some? Please?
You can certainly find some, yes.
Cool. You promise?
We like trees, we don't have a problem with them.
Okay, thank you.
It's being written down right now in the notes. You can't see it, Carrie, but I can see it being written
It's
down.
all
as we
being
speak.
written, everything everybody's saying.
Hector, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. Hi, how you doing, guys? Well, it's a beautiful building. I've passed it quite a few times. I used to live actually on 25th Street, between 9th and 10th. And I've seen a lot I mean, I find it hard to believe that you're saying that there's no businesses that would like to open up offices there. Maybe for other reasons they don't want to, but I always see a lot of offices down in that area and a lot of people commuting in and out down that street and around. to go to work. So that's a little difficult to believe. But anyway, long story short, question, is there going to be any kind of, what kind of residential place are we talking here? Condos, co-ops, rentals? And is it going to be market rate, affordable? What are we talking about?
Hasn't been decided yet. There'll be market rate. It hasn't been decided if it'll be condos, co-ops, or rentals. And there'll be market. There'll be no affordable.
Yeah, that's something we're really lacking in this city, and I think you probably get a lot more support if you work something out, either that or a nonprofit in there that somebody else had mentioned.
Yeah, well, we were just talking about the ground floor for the artist space, but not above, not the residential.
Mm-hmm. And why not? I'm just curious, because that's more profitable upstairs.
There's no bonus in it for it currently right now. Like your next application has the universal affordability preference included in it, and it doesn't make, it helps out with the economics when you have the UHD or something like that.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't really support this plan at all because honestly, I hear what you're saying, but it just doesn't add up. I mean, if you're buying a building and you're saying the freight elevator doesn't work and there's other issues here and there, normally a person who buys a building already knows that before they even purchase it, and they factor that in and they fix them in order to make it more valuable, more appealing to other businesses or other companies to either rent the building or rent the floor whatsoever. And it doesn't seem like any real solid effort was put into this other than another company who tried it, like what, $7 million, which is pittance these days for any kind of building. So honestly, I'd like to see a little bit more for the community instead of profit for a private entity here. So we have too many of that around here already. So if you can't do affordable or at least a nonprofit, then honestly, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would have a problem with it. Okay, that's my opinion.
Brad, online, floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. My question is, this would be a great spot for micro farming. And I'm kind of with my last colleague who said, I find it hard to believe that having open columns in an office building is not wanted. And I don't know if we looked into micro units, a homeless shelter. There's a lot of uses that could be put here. Thank you.
Okay, Brad, let's go back in the room. Vera, I'm sorry, Dave, and then we'll go Vera.
Are there more opportunities to introduce windows like over the building to your west? Is that maxed out in terms of its FAR?
The windows, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, so actually, if you go to the next elevation, we have the same type of windows that we are opening on the two sides. The back is pretty dark and we have some windows already there. If you go to the next one, I think, or previous one, actually. Yeah, so this is actually, no, there is this is the back. So we are opening some windows in the back here. We are opening some windows on the sides.
And just if you're online right now, you were pointing to the pink or the red colored spaces.
Correct.
Just want to make sure folks online know what you're.
Sorry.
And what I'm getting at is trying to find a way to get some smaller apartments in here.
Well, the issue is that smaller apartments, we actually, as I said, we started with the smaller apartments. Unfortunately, the way it is set up on the plan, if you can go to one of the typical plans, the back area becomes, so if you do a small unit over here, then these back units are very dark. The distance here is so small and you're just looking at a wall.
You know what they're doing like downtown where they're converting office buildings to residential, and the office buildings have too big a footprint. The distance from the core to the perimeter is too great, is introducing central courtyards. Have you considered doing that? And
Central courtyard is going to take up a lot of space here because it's not big enough in terms of floor plate. And then the square footage that's lost here, we cannot put it on top because it's landmarked.
That's not true. you could get approval for adding space on top. And in fact, at Terminal Warehouse, they carved out a huge core in the center to create natural light and make the space potentially rentable as office space. And then added several stories on top. You know, we're really focused on affordable
Trying to create
housing,
more housing.
and it's gonna be hard for us to accept just putting in luxury housing units.
Right, so for the courtyard, in terms of zoning, we have certain limitation. So it becomes too big for this floor plate.
That's if you go with the existing columns.
Yes, but we have to work with the structure.
Right, you would leave the existing inner ring of columns and perhaps introduce new load-bearing walls for the courtyard or more columns.
No, but I'm talking about, you know, the courtyard is going to be this big to work for light and air. So it would be most, you know, like the central portion gone.
So let's, I know some other folks want to jump in here. Darren, you had your hand up.
David basically covered it. My question is, what made you determine to go only for 5-bedroom apartments? Why large units only? Why not smaller units? Number one. Number two, going back to Dave's question is, yes, you can actually, I mean, it's architecturally, Dave and I both are architects in this room. You could very comfortably sort of carve out a courtyard in the middle and increase the amount of light that's coming in. And if landmarks allows you to put lost square feet above, I think that might be a better way of doing it. And the last but not least, if you add smaller units and include affordability component, I think this committee will feel a lot more comfortable.
So it's 9 stories. So for us, in order for us to make that, you know, courtyard or even rear yard, we have to cut a lot of the floor plate. And to build on top, it becomes very tall. And Landmark, not like that.
You know, Landmark's just approved Brooklyn's first super tall on top of the Landmark. It's over 1,000 feet tall. You know, there are other ways of doing it.
That's the FX, right, the FX project.
It's the shop architects.
Darren, why don't you finish your
Yeah,
thought
just
there?
one very quick. I mean, you don't even have to have courtyard. You can actually include light fence.
Right.
No, but in terms of zoning to get light and air, we need a certain
dimensions.
Right, but you could even carve, say, the upper left corner of the floor plate out here. You can leave the facade. And even Landmarks, given that these are away from the street, would even let you leave those as openings without windows in them. It just seems to me like there are a lot of options here that aren't being explored.
All right, we got a couple other hands up. Pam, you had your hand up earlier.
I took it back down.
Okay. Jess and
Somebody
then.
else down too.
Can you just speak to timing? Because I think you're hearing some feedback that, you know, we could summarize or help articulate. You said you were also taking notes, but like, we would love to be in continued dialogue. I think, I don't want to speak for the group, but like, I could imagine that's where this might go.
We have a lot of time. We just filed with the BSA. It probably wouldn't be in hearing to the BSA until September or August.
So we appreciate you coming early. And I think it would be great if we could, I don't know if we need to take a motion now, but like, that we move to a place where we could make some recommendations and then you come back to see what you could incorporate that might get us to a place that we're more comfortable with proposed modification.
We're happy to do that.
Interesting proposal, Paul.
Touching on this topic of more residential units, first of all, if you came to this committee and asked for additional height over a landmark building, you would face obstacles from this committee in and of itself. So it would be digging out a light well and then putting height on top of a landmark building might process through our own board, because I think that would be a challenge. The second thing is a lot of these apartments are very wide and large, maybe more railroad style, where you could get 4 apartments across this floor, each with facing onto the street with rear bedrooms. Some of the middle ones might be a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
But just looking at this, it looks like you could have 4 straight through apartments with enough space, and you could increase the size. But we as a board often ask for more family size units. That's one of our biggest complaints is people are building too small of units in our district, and we're creating oversized dormitory towers. So this notion of creating family units is good, but perhaps we can mix in a few more smaller units into the floor plates. And I also, picking up on Brad's question about micro gardens, maybe there's something that can be done on the roof instead of, to tap into Kerry's question as well about the penthouse. Maybe those penthouse units could be farming units or something like green space, so you could use the smaller front as some sort of office or nonprofit space, and then that oversized roof could maybe be a green roof for some growing and gardening or something along those lines. So maybe that's an alternative that we can get some nonprofit space into the building that would be productive and address some of the needs of our community.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, we could have family-sized units that didn't have 40-foot long living rooms.
Inga, I see your hand up.
It is, I just find it hard to believe that you couldn't use it as a different space. The building adjacent to it on the other side of avenues, behind avenues, has over 200 offices and studios in it, and they're always at capacity. Most of them are artists, designers.
Living artists or just working artists?
You're talking about the building, you're just talking about the water. Right?
And it was a factory.
Right.
It's got the same columns, it's got the same weird freight elevators, it's got everything is basically the same. And they're filled and people want to be in there and there's just no more space.
Yeah, you can see into them as you walk along the High Line. The architectural firm that's in there is called 11 Bets. They've got a big sign on there.
Yeah, you can go in that building and go through all the studios. The artists always have their doors open.
Okay, I think we're giving them a lot to think about.
Just on this idea, something, and maybe Josephine has an update on this, but there's also the Naftali building on 26th Street, which came to like this in the board because.
That's the
That's
the artist. On the other side.
So we asked for, because there's actually a proposal to remove those tenants and they're gonna be looking for a home. I don't know where that stands right now, but it might be
Not happening right now.
understanding where that is and maybe you can be part of the solution.
Thank you.
All right, came to us with a proposal, a request.
Brad has his hand up.
Oh, Brad, go ahead.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I meant to mention, Vanderbilt took the space up the road, and has anybody spoke to them? Because they are expanding their university. And this is literally a couple blocks away from their current what's the one, David, where they have the old church, the seminary.
The seminary.
And has anybody spoke to Vanderbilt University? I just don't feel that, someone bought a discounted building and now we got to turn it into $2,000 a square foot sellable units, and the community is not benefiting anyway.
Brad, you can't see it in the room, but I think the word Vanderbilt was just written down on the notes right there. You came to us with a specific request. I think we've covered questions and comments. Do we have a specific reaction from this committee in terms of a motion, or are we in a place? I'm leaving it open to this body at this point.
I kind of I like Jessica's suggestion.
There it is.
Of asking you to take our commentary and revisit some of these things, analyze some of these things, and come back to us with some answers. Because the zoning variance does require specific findings, and if findings, get the variance. I think that's a problem. So
is there a burden of proof at the Landmarks Preservation Committee in terms of proving that you spent a certain number of time and years asking for?
With the board of
They're not considered use at all, although they do all the time.
But the answer to the question, and he answered it. This is the real hurdle is not the LPC. That will come later. It's the Board of Standards and Appeals, which is an entirely separate body, which does not have a ULURP process similar to what we're used to with DCP. This is it. So the gentleman said maybe not till September, and that might be very true. But this is not going to go to city planning. This is not going to go to borough president. They could make comment if they choose to, but there's no other process in this. So in terms of a cycle of review. So
I think the question was about the burden of proof in some way.
Well, it sounds like we're having some skepticism here about whether they actually we're looking for,
the board this Board of Standards and Appeals that's their job to determine whether they've done it.
They've met the 5 criteria.
Yeah.
Okay.
Helpful, Jess. Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Paul,
Oh,
so
thank
Paul,
you.
yeah, you had a specific
Are
thought.
they agreeable?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, of course, definitely.
So I'd like to make a motion to table this application for review at the next meeting.
You have a second?
Yeah, we'll talk about May.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much.
We'll
Do
coordinate.
you do a vote on that or just okay to table? So we didn't do a vote on it.
You're, no, you don't need to do a vote because you're just saying that you wanted to come back.
Right. Yeah,
That's
that was all I'm trying to make sure that-
I will just say, I think we want to be, at some point, we definitely need to be on record. And-
Correct.
and-
And if they don't agree to come back.
Well, they're gonna come back, I'm just saying.
But we can have a group discussion over this, not gonna make a motion.
Yeah, that's fine.
I need to say, I want to express my gratitude and thanks to the group.
Yeah.
Grant's fine work by the way, as well. I just want to give you a shout out for bouncing around. Thank you very much. I hope you hear the interest that we have, the focus that we have, and the desire.
Yeah, I do. And as a side note, I just bought Vanderbilt with my daughter. You're talking about the same one in Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
885 young people from the metro New York area. 5,
Well, they have a campus here.
Yeah, but I now tell my daughter maybe stay in New York.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to the next presentation. Thank you, everybody. That was great. Robust conversation, very thoughtful. Looking forward to what's next. The next presentation, 273 West 22nd Street, this is the Universal Affordability Purpose Application, Residential Development Project. Jesse, who do we have present?
Are you guys in the attendees section? If you want to present, you need to raise your hand so I can bring you over.
Okay, there we go. Comes out, it's off enough. It's good. I like the way we handle things. Precise, focus, suggestion, expertise all over. When in doubt, kick the can.
Hi, Ken, how are you?
I'm really good at jinx it. Let's do it. He said at 11 o'clock at night.
Ken or John, are you with us?
Yes,
All right.
hi.
Great.
Am I gonna be, can I share my screen?
You can share your screen, John. I wasn't sure. Is there other folks that are in the
So
attendee
I'm here with my colleague Alexander Berger and our counsel Ken Lowenstein. So we're all here. And I'm John McMillan with TF Cornerstone.
All right, so I'm just very clear out. Oh, Alexander, you're here. Okay, great, fantastic. Never mind.
Okay, the floor is yours. Please
Okay.
proceed, do your presentation and the last question.
So we are here to talk to you about a project that we're calling 273 West 22nd Street. And we're going to give you a little overview of the project and talk a little bit about the universal affordability preference. So this is the site, which is a through block site from 23rd to 22nd. It has a little more frontage on 23rd Street than it does on 22nd Street. And it has two different zoning districts on it, one on 23rd and one on 22nd. So we had to deal with each of those separately. So this just describes a little bit of the UAP program. It's available in higher density residential districts, R6 through R10. So we're at R9A and an R8B, and it allows each of those districts a 20% zoning bonus. So if you look over to the right, we're getting a 20% bonus, which is taking us up to about 217,000 square feet. And I think that's a 36,000 square foot bonus. And all of that bonus floor area has to be for permanent affordable housing. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about some of the requirements for that affordable housing. So in the middle, you can see the AMI requirements are that the average AMI for all the affordable units has to be 60% AMI or lower. So we're at 59.5%. And the income band limits that we are using here, we have 14 units at 40% AMI, 22 units at 50%, and 24 units at 80%. So again, we come out an average of just under 60%. And then another requirement is that at least 20% of the units have to be at 40% AMI or lower. So we are also meeting that. And then the way the affordable units are distributed through the building, the requirement is that at least 65% of the floors have to have affordable units on them. 71% of our floors have affordable units on them. And then no floor can have more than 2/3 of the units on that floor as affordable. So we don't exceed 41% of the units on any given floor as being affordable. Then for the types of units that we're using, you can choose between two options. We have on the left here, we have chosen option B, where you are required to mirror the unit distribution for the market rate portion of the building. So 23% of our market rate units are affordable, our market rate, so therefore 23% of our affordable units are affordable. 58% of our one bedrooms are market one bedrooms are 58% of our market units are one bedrooms, so 50% of our affordable units are one bedrooms, and similarly with the two bedroom units. And then on the right, you can see the minimum requirements for each of these unit types, which we meet. And so that's the kind of description.
John, hold on one second. Do we need any clarification on this slide?
I'm just wondering how many 3-bedroom market rate apartments there are?
0. There are 0. There are no market rate and there are no affordable 3 bedrooms. The distribution is, as you can see in the bottom left, is 23%, 58-ish, 20%.
So no 3 bedrooms for anybody. Right.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, John. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I have one point of clarification here. For the deeply affordable units, the 40% AMI or below, I thought that was by square footage, not by number of units.
It is by square footage, and we are over 20% of the square footage is at 40% AMI. You are correct.
Ellen, thank you for jumping in. John, go ahead.
Okay, so just to quickly go over some of the buildings. So this is the ground floor of the building, and 23rd Street is at the top and 22nd Street is at the bottom. The lobby for the building is on 22nd Street. That's the blue area. So you come in there, the doorman and the concierge is off to the right. People will then turn to the left, and then they will move up the screen towards 23rd Street along that beige corridor. Some of them will turn immediately to the right and use the elevator core in the smaller building on 22nd Street. Some of them will continue on up the screen towards 23rd Street and walk through a garden, which is that green area in the middle. That's an open area between these two essentially separate buildings. And then they will get into the 23rd Street building and go to their units through a separate elevator core there. All this blue stuff on the plan are essentially tenant amenities that are shared. And then, as I mentioned, there is a garden in between the two buildings. And then along 23rd Street, the gray area is all retail. And you can see we have 5 different entrances so that we can accommodate up to 5 separate smaller retail spaces on 23rd Street. And of course, we have vented those so that they can be restaurants or cafes and vent out any cooking. Then on the lower level, below grade, it's combined as one building. We have a few further tenant amenities, the kind of a golf simulator, and the laundry room is in the basement. But then all the back of the house stuff, the boiler and that sort of stuff, the garbage is stored, all that kind of stuff takes place in the basement. And then you can see off to the right, just where the kind of 90-degree angle is, there's a lot of bicycle storage that's also in the basement. So that's the ground floor plan. Then as we
Hey,
move,
John, hold on one second. Anything we need to clarify on the floor plans?
yep,
Bicycles.
How many bicycles?
whatever is required.
Okay.
There we go.
Anybody online with questions from the community board on the floor plans?
Brad.
Brad, go ahead.
Yes, we always want to know where the garbage is going out.
Okay, so the garbage is designed to come out either building. Because the basements are connected, we have a service entrance. You can see all down on 22nd Street, all the way over to the right. That is the service entrance where people will move in and out, or where garbage and deliveries can come in and out. Similarly, on 23rd Street, we also have an entrance where the garbage can come out. The general idea at this point is that each building will send its garbage out separately. So a small amount for the smaller building will come out on 22nd Street, maybe a little more on 23rd Street. However, it's also designed so that we can change this going forward if we find any problems. You know, for example, if 22nd Street one day becomes completely pedestrianized and there's no garbage trucks moving down, it will be able to take all the garbage out on 23rd Street. But now our intention is to take it out separately for each building on each of the streets.
Katie, go ahead. I see Katie stand up. Go ahead.
Can you tell me how wide the entrance exit is on 23rd Street that is just supposed to be the key fob exit?
I'm gonna guess 8 feet is kind of a typical corridor like that. It might be dimensioned here.
Yeah, no, I'm wondering about the door, just because since that is the door that is in the building that has the biggest amount of residents as opposed to the building on the 22nd. And because it's near the subway and the buses and everything else, it seems that that will be the most used entrance.
Unless you want to get your mail or a package, in which case you have to come in on 22nd Street.
Right, but otherwise, just for coming off the subway and going home. And I'm just wondering, yeah, just about the door, and I'm thinking about people with double strollers or walkers or anything else, you know, because it's facing 23rd Street, and presumably we'll get quite a lot of traffic. And again, because it's in the building that has the most amount of residents, I'm just wondering what the size of the doors, and is it thought to be one that's going to swing open, or that you need your hands for, that sort of thing?
So it's all, you know, obviously handicap accessible. So, you know, the required dimension for getting a wheelchair through, it's at least that.
Okay. And has there been much thought? I mean, I understand wanting to maximize your retail space on 23rd Street, but has there been any thought to designing it in a way that was more welcoming to all of the residents on the 23rd Street side?
We think it will be resident. You know, that's kind of a highly finished corridor, but we are trying to encourage residents to use 22nd Street. We kind of see them possibly leaving this way, but we're hoping most people will come through the front door, 22nd Street.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue on.
Okay. So when you move outside, let's see, I have to make this a little smaller.
You were talking about the mechanical equipment in the basement. I take it that you are not yet in a flood zone.
Correct. Not in a flood zone. Yeah. So that means, you know, we can put all that kind of stuff below grade. Okay, on the outside, we're fortunate to be able to work with the two block associations, 22nd and 23rd Street block associations, kind of early on with this project. And they actually ended up having a lot of suggestions for the architecture, which we ended up incorporating. So I can describe a little bit of that. One of the things they were interested in was in preserving kind of any of the architectural details from the Broadway Savings Bank next door. So we felt that the nicest thing about that facade was this kind of botanical detail around the entrance. And so we have taken that detail and have introduced it into the building's facade, and it will form the base of the building, a one-story base of the building on 22nd Street, as you can see here. And then a little bit different, it's treated a little bit different on 23rd Street, but you can kind of see that here. So this is the 22nd Street building. You can see it's a little smaller than the 23rd Street building behind it, but it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 floors, and then sets back for 2 more floors. And then you can see how that detail is working on the ground floor here. And then this is the main entrance, and then you can see the service entrance all the way over to the right. Here's just kind of some of the brick detailing. The brick color was also something that came from the community board. We had originally started with a lighter building, but they felt that red was most appropriate for this site. Here's
Sorry, you mean block association, yeah?
Yeah, block, sorry.
Thank you.
22nd and 23rd Street block associations, both of them. Front door again. And then this is the courtyard, and you can see the passageway as tenants walk from the 22nd Street building through this courtyard to get to the elevator of the building on 23rd Street.
What, sorry, can I ask a quick question? So is there any passageway that is covered in inclement weather?
This is covered. This is all inside the passageway that you see there. And then, but you walk, you know, it's kind of this sort of 10-foot wide passageway with glass on both sides where you look into this open garden that's a tenant amenity for the building.
So is the original cornerstone located in that garden?
This is where we're planning to put the cornerstone from the Broadway Savings Bank building.
But do tenants have access to that garden?
No, this is private for the building.
Right. Do tenants have access to the building,
yes,
to
of
the
course.
garden?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Then on the 23rd Street side, we've treated it a little bit different, and we've taken that botanical floral detail from the old building, and we've introduced it in kind of a 3-story frieze that sits above the ground floor. So it's that element that occupies the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors of the building. So that detail runs all across there, and then the retail is treated a little bit differently below that. And then you can see that we've kind of broken it up into the 5 different stores. And then you sort of towards the right, not all the way to the end, you can see that secondary exit coming from the building. And then this is kind of a perspective on the 23rd Street facade.
Clarifying question, Pam, go ahead.
John, I'm curious to know why the architects have chosen not to bring that the vertical feature down to including the ground floor. I thought originally we saw it.
No, it's always looked like this. I think they like the idea of it sort of being the premier étage reading. It's just, it's lifted up to a higher level. It's not a ground floor thing. It's more of a facade thing. And they wanted to distinguish, it's not the base. So they wanted to distinguish it as an architectural element from the base, where something completely different is going on with the retail stores and the storefront signage and the storefront windows. That's my understanding of it.
Go ahead, John. Any questions? Let me know if there's any.
Carrie has her hand up.
Carrie, do you have your hand up? You want to ask a clarifying question?
Sorry, that was up from before. I'll just ask them all at the end. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Carrie. Go ahead, John.
I'm done. Oh, I think we're done here. Yeah. Oh, sorry. We have just a quick floor plate from the inside. You can kind of see the 2 separate buildings. Each of them takes advantage of quality housing and has the window and the hallway. But this is just a typical floor plate. And I think that's everything.
Thank you, John. Before you get into the additional questions, thank you for answering clarifying questions as we went. Now we'll go into questions. We'll start in the room and then we'll go online. John, before I do that, let me just ask, what is it that your ask is of us?
I don't think we have an ask. This is an as of right project. I think HPD likes for the UAP applicant people to go to the community board and describe the project.
Well, yeah,
Thank
just let
you.
me clarify. There's no formal ask. I think, as some of you may know, there used to be a 45-day waiting period where you sent the plans on the voluntary inclusionary housing to the community board, who had 45 days to comment. That's not on the UAP. On the UAP, the only requirement is that we send a copy to the community board. We're happy to make a presentation, but there's no formal action required by the community board.
Thank you, Ken. Questions in the room first, and then we'll go online. Pam, go ahead.
Just two things. John, you still there?
Yes.
One has to do with the bus stop on 23rd Street. I'm curious to know if you've made any progress with DOT on that topic. I walked by it yesterday. It seems to me that there's not that much of the bus stop, maybe 15 feet or so, that's in front of your exit door or the 23rd Street entry door. You were concerned about that.
Well, I know we have to work with the MTA to relocate the bus stop during construction. And then again, it's our understanding that they want us to bring it back to its current location as a permanent location. I'm not exactly sure where the temporary location. It might be slid somewhere along the property frontage.
There's plenty of room going west to all the way to the corner for the crosstown bus. There's tons of room there. So they shouldn't have a problem accommodating a request to stop it somewhere before it gets to your exit door.
Well, is that a preference? I mean, where would you?
It was something that you had brought up before.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I was just thinking if the bus stop is right where our service entrance is and we were bringing out garbage, that could be a potential conflict. And that's one of the reasons, we've tried to preserve as much flexibility as possible in the way that the building is serviced and operates. Okay.
Makes sense. The other question I have is there are both on 22nd Street and 23rd Street. There is landscaping. There are tree pits. And they are in dire need of help. They've suffered a lot throughout the demolition and all that work. Would you be willing to take on responsibility for the care and maintenance? Even, maybe you could plant the trees, they're not that expensive.
We certainly are taking on the care and maintenance of the trees in our frontage, and we're pretty experienced with this, and we know you need like substantial little tree fences to keep the dog urine off the trees and all that kind of stuff. So, I think we will do a pretty good job with the trees along our frontage.
I am delighted to hear that.
Although, but you've got the Con Ed vaults and you've got the bus stop. So there's often many, many conflicts on sidewalks that prevent you from planting trees, but we want as many trees as possible.
The 23rd Street sidewalk is so wide that there's no issue about
Except for pedestrian.
about separation of tree pits from the pedestrian passageway. It's huge. So
Great.
There's no issue with that.
Great.
And it would be glorious to see beautiful trees, at least 5 of them on 23rd Street.
At least 5.
Exactly.
Write down 5, at least 5. Questions, other questions? Paul, and then we'll go to Vera.
It sounds like those issues should go to Transportation Committee, not us, because they're more in tune with where the buses stops, how wide the sidewalks are, how the pedestrian flow is. So perhaps some of this should be presented to Transportation. Similarly, with the housing mix, seems like that's an HHHS discussion, and they've already come to that. Perfect.
What about
the Transportation, if we're gonna talk about bus.
Yeah, did it come up with transportation?
No, we haven't had this conversation, so I'll circle back with Pam and with you guys to see if
The
we want.
trees we had with the theater, we got more trees and then the theater went out of business, so the trees they suffered during the demolition, so they need to fix those trees and put new ones back.
Got it, thank you. Vera.
Just very quickly, I mean, in meeting with the block association, I think some of the questions came up. I'm happy to say that you've taken care of a few things, so thank you. Two questions still remain for me, because when you say that you would use 22nd and 23rd, alternatively, as you sort of see fit for trash removals, I think you should probably use 23rd much more than 22nd because of the way the 22nd Street is laid out now. And the second thing I would say is that you have the revolving doors on 22nd as your main entry point. And I think a lot of people in the community could hear that, as well as in the block association meeting, you heard us speak about potentially having something similar on 23rd Street as well. Rather than just an exit out, you will have probably more traffic of folks coming in, with subway stop right around the corner, bus stop right in front of the building. So I think you might want to think about making that entry a bit more substantial.
Well, but as you can see in this rendering, it is substantial. I mean, it is denoted. The entrance to the building on 23rd Street, as you can see in this rendering, it's almost all the way to the right, one bay back, is marked.
I'm not questioning the marking of the entrance. I'm speaking about the number of doors that you have there. You have a single door. Am I right?
Correct, yes.
And the width of that door is?
I don't know.
I think the point is to take the note back, John.
Yeah, the note here is, door.
This is something we have spoken about every single time we have ever had a meeting, either between the block association groups and these and the committees that you've presented to at MCB4. Every damn time it comes up, and every time we get the same answer. It's a door, you know, it's a.
And the lobby is on 22nd Street. We want people to use 22nd Street.
Wait. John, go ahead. I want to make sure everyone can hear you when you're responding. Go ahead.
The lobby of the building is on 22nd Street. That's a decision we made a long time ago, where we feel very good about that. And we expect most people to come and go from 22nd Street. Some people we expect will leave via this exit. That's how we do this a lot. That's how we're anticipating that our residents are going to use the building.
You're gonna make a rule about that?
No.
Let's keep going. But Viren, I want to make sure, did we answer did you get a response to your question or no?
Well, he's responded saying that he's actually going to keep a single door, and he says, okay, I mean, that's his call. We request that you reconsider that. Maybe you can still have a lobby on 22nd Street, fine, absolutely no problem. But normally, folks coming in and out are going to want to use 23rd Street because it's more accessible.
Okay.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay, other questions in the room before we switch to online?
We got Carrie and then Brian.
Let's go with Carrie.
Hi, thanks. Sorry, just having seen the plans, I'm the question, you may have answered it in a chart, but having seen the plans, are the affordable units distributed between both buildings?
Yes.
And are all the amenities you mentioned, like on the basement level, available to all tenants, including affordable?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I didn't know you went to HHHS, but they probably asked you this too. I understand you're meeting the requirements for the UAP, but can you beat them? Like, can you make some of the apartments more deeply affordable rather than at 80% AMI?
We exceeded requirements on the distribution among the floors. So instead of 65%, we're at 71%.
Is that a no? I just looked at the numbers are, the most are at 80%. The most the units that you have are at 80%. And then the second batch is at 60, and then the least amount are at 40. So I'm wondering, have you discussed like flipping that?
No, we meet all the requirements for HPD, which is that 60% need to be at, wait, what is it?
The weighted average, 60%.
Weighted average needs to be
20% at
60%.
40%.
If we flipped it, it would be like closer to like 30.
Right, but we meet the requirements.
I know you meet them. We hope that you can do better than the bare minimum.
Carrie, do you have any other questions? I think we got our answer on that one. Go ahead, Carrie.
That's my last question.
Thank you, Brad.
Hey, guys. So how many total residents in a count will be in the building?
78.
78
Ken,
people are gonna live in
270
that whole building?
278
Wait, Brad, hold on a second. Ken, what did you say?
278 units.
Thank you.
Right. 278 units, and I'm just asking about the actual people count on that, Ken.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I usually assume like 1.8 per unit.
Okay, so over, call it 600 people, John?
273,
Like 500 if according to 1.8.
yeah, 496.
So we'll call it 500, John.
All right.
And as you know, 22nd is a small residential street. Not only that, you're gonna have the front door there where package deliveries are made for 278 units. Amazon, Fresh Direct, deliveries. Any truck that parks there, even if it has your lane in front, is going to clog up the whole road, 100%, let alone the garbage. I think that really, it's a beautiful project. I really love it. I like the affordable housing, but I just don't understand. I mean, for me, to our board chair, how it got to this point. And I know it's as of right, but 22nd, it's got parking on both sides. If there's any delivery on that road, it shuts it down completely. Let alone that's a bus route as well, as I believe, Carrie. So
It's also, it has the things,
yeah,
sorry,
it's
I
got
don't know what
it
it has the
narrows down the road. It's got the
narrows, yeah.
planters. And
Thank
it's
you.
also discussed, as John said, that one portion of the whole lane might go just for pedestrians. We're talking about so I think that's a real problem, guys. And I absolutely we cannot have any garbage come loaded up on there. It doesn't accommodate. So I really think that's a really big problem. That's my statement. I know John says that's what we're doing. I just don't know if that's enough for us. And we might have to get the electives involved if that's what's coming back to us. I know these are great developers and they know what they're doing. So maybe there's a way to work something out. Thank you.
I would just add to that, as I said, we have tried to build in flexibility in the operations of the building so that we can adjust to these kinds of conditions once things are up and running.
Hey, John, all right, last call in the room. I'm gonna start with Josephine, then we'll go ahead. Go ahead.
So I guess what you're saying is that there is the potential for accepting packages, at least on 23rd Street. Because it is a very narrow sidewalk. I live on 22nd Street. We're already, further down east, but that is a problem when the cars are taken over the sidewalk. So if there's a possibility for that, that's good. Is there any preference for affordability? Seniors, civil service workers, artists,
HPD lottery.
No.
I'm sorry, Chair, I wasn't finished there. What I'm trying to point out is they have it designed. It's their front desk. If they don't change it now, even if they could say it's being accommodated, they're not going to redo their lobby after they built it. I just think this is a real problem. And they're going to have their mailboxes there. Everything's going through there. They're not going to go pick up on Amazon and have their staff walk it from 23rd all the way to 22nd to the storage. It's not going to happen. So it's something we got to really address now. Not saying we're considering changing it. That doesn't work. So that's my point.
That's received, Brad. I do want to go back though to Josephine. Did Josephine have a question to
Can we
answer?
just stay with this point, Will, because can you explain why there's a need to have the entrance on the 22nd? Is it a marketing tactic? Is it easier that people would rather? It would be helpful if we knew that the reasoning behind that.
They'd have to lose one of the retail storefronts to make a door.
More than that, we'd have to have the lobby and the mail room and the package room. So it would sort of blow out a lot of the retail on 23rd Street. That's one important reason. And the other is that, we really like 22nd Street and we think it's a beautiful block. It's a great address. We think the building is scaled, appropriately for 22nd Street. We think it's gonna be beautiful.
So that's great that you think it's gonna be beautiful. We get that part, but take a half step back to you have a community board question or concern about the deliveries and how it's gonna be handled. You said you would take it under consideration. What does that mean exactly? In other words, when you start operating, you'll think about how it is that package delivery is impacting the block and neighborhood? Or is there something else you can share with us now that you will take under consideration?
No, I think I just said that we've designed the building so that all of these functions can occur from either 22nd or 23rd Street so that we can make adjustments if we run into problems down the road.
But that's what we're here for, to present it, because we do this all the time, as you guys do. And our number one complaint we have on this board, and I'm on the environmental board, is garbage stacked up and deliveries blocking roads. And if you can commit to us, I don't have a problem people walking in. It's a beautiful resident to come into their unit. But if you guys could say, but all garbage and all deliveries were made on 23rd, I think everything's fine. You can leave your entrance. I mean, in my opinion, that would be a very good community way to look at it, instead of just saying, we'll solve it if there's a problem. I mean, there already is a problem. Just watch somebody get their delivery from Amazon that lives in a brownstone on that block and it's shut down. Let alone getting all those packages all day long for 500 people.
Brad, I want to get Jesse to jump in here, but
Yeah, Brad, I'm gonna back you up on this, Brad, which is just to say, we've had a lot of experience with this block in particular. It is a very congested block for many reasons, and Brad's point should be well taken. That, I mean, you will be dealing with complaints from your residents for the beeping that will be occurring on this block as soon as it is held up by any delivery trucks that are stopped, which is regularly occurring already, and it will be significantly worse. I really do think that you should. Obviously, you're not going to redesign your entire building. I understand that, but to the extent you want to start thinking about incorporating deliveries and garbage on 23rd Street, I actually do think you should take that seriously as a proposal.
Okay.
I'll just add that, alternate side of street parking, street cleaning is also going to be a major issue. If there's one truck there, then that street doesn't get cleaned. And that's going to be a super, big issue for the residents on 22nd. It's very residential.
Right.
Ellie, Carrie, just on that block alone,
Believe me, I know.
Will have more people in it than the whole block.
I know. Yep.
Okay, so the impact is major.
All right, so
Go ahead, John.
we're hearing all of this. I appreciate it. I also wanted to point out that we originally had parking in the building and a parking entrance on 22nd Street, and we eliminated all of that after discussions with the two block associations.
We're very grateful for that. Thank you.
So we do listen.
John, Tia Cornerstone's great. Just help us out on this one. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Point
Dave.
out that also for emergency vehicles, for ambulances, and for the people, the accessoride, and for the fire department, God help us. We've just had a massive fire on that corner, as everybody must be aware. And can you imagine if there was any fire vehicle trying to get through that block to get to that fire, and there was a UPS truck double parked in front of the building? It's, and you know what? It'll all wind up on the table of the block association. The complaints will come to us.
Dave, I believe you had your hand
I
up.
want to point some things out once everyone is done with questions. Rodney, did you have a question?
No, sorry, the transportation, sorry, I'm not so.
Oh, okay.
Clear on questions?
Anyone else have any questions? I just want to point out, this is, I think, the biggest project we have seen that incorporates City of Yes for Housing Opportunity, which we deliberated for a very long time and ended up writing a letter against. You begin to get a sense of what the scale impact is from this image. And John, can I ask you to go back to the kind of flat, you went past it actually, just orthogonal view. You get a sense of the scale impact, and I got a preview of this, and I had a question about the street setback, the vertical setback, which is at that kind of data line about 4 stories down from the very top of the building. and what these other elements were that were kind of sticking up above that. And I was informed that those are actually called dormers. And they are a feature of City of Yes for housing opportunity that Joe Restuccia said we objected to. But they're allowed to stick up above that vertical line. So you're seeing two of them here on 23rd Street, and there's another one on 22nd. So this gives you
the very top of the building, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, here it's right in the center that sticks up above that setback line.
What's in there, water tanks?
It's residential inside there. It's actually at the street wall with windows. But where you've got a setback on either side of it, the center part pops up, and that is actually, believe it or not, called a dormer.
Yes.
Okay.
So this we'll be seeing more of this kind of thing.
I should also point out that from this drawing, it makes it look as though the building behind it is somewhat maybe a third taller than the 22nd Street side, but that's not the case. It's twice the height. So the drawing is a little bit illusory. So
Greg, we have people from the public that have their hand raised to this.
Well, let's get to that. Go ahead. Who's up first, Jesse? I can't see you.
Let's bring over Maria first, because she said Maria Ortiz, because she's had her hand up for a bit, and then Tweed will be following.
Okay. Maria, floor is yours.
Don, do you mind stop sharing your screen for now? I don't know if the folks can refer back to a slide or not. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jesse. I think it's good that John, that you guys are going to take into consideration what the committee members are saying. I actually was going to ask a question about why 22nd Street as a main entrance instead of 23rd. When I lived in the community, I know that I would be entering a building on 23rd Street, not on 22nd, just because of the bus and the trains they all line up on 23rd Street. But you already answered why you selected 22nd Street. It looks beautiful, etc. I'm also co-chair of Housing and Health and Human Services on CB4, and I feel a little embarrassed. I don't recall this coming to committee. Jesse, did?
This has not come to Triple H.
Has not come to Triple. Okay.
Okay.
Clarify.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you, Maria. It's not, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you
You're
Maria,
not,
for clarifying.
don't be
for us.
embarrassed, Maria.
You're great. That's your
Okay.
So that it did not come before Triple H. Is that what you're saying, Coach? You would know better than us.
Okay.
Katie, I'm sorry. Katie is thinking, brain processing. What?
I've heard this whole presentation before and.
You were at the briefing.
The briefing though.
You were at the.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, the short answer. Okay, so. Point of
Can you clarify?
Point of clarification.
Yeah.
There was a briefing
For Clue.
Triple HS, just to clarify, earlier, we thought this did come before Triple HS. It did not. Maria, thank you for clarifying. You are on point. Yes.
Joe was present.
Joe
Yeah,
was present on the brief.
Got it. Understood. Thank you.
So many layers. Yes.
Tweed.
Anything else, Maria?
No, that was it. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you. Who's up?
Tweed.
Yep.
Hi,
All
yes,
right.
I'm here. Hi, how is everybody? Hi, John. So I wanted to go back to what one of the board TLU people raised having to do with the 14 at 40% AMI, 22 at 50% AMI, and someone that was 14 units, 22 units. And then someone had asked, well, doesn't that have to be square footage? And Alex said yes. So what is the square footage? Like, why is it broken out into units?
We have to have 20% of the units affordable, and we have to have 20% of the floor area affordable. No?
It's for UAP, it's only floor area.
Floor,
You have excess units. That's the way the HPD materials work. They ask for the units, and it's set out. So we just followed the HPD format. We don't have off the top of our head the square footage calculations, but it complies with the UAP program floor area requirements.
And then when you said 20 units were at 40% of AMI or lower, that's in addition to the 14, 22, and 24?
No, the requirement is that 20% of the units have to be at
Floor
40.
area. Let's talk about floor area.
Just floor area. We just use
Oh.
units.
20% of the affordable units have to be at 40% or lower. Of the floor area, you have to be at 40% or lower, and the weighted average has to be 60%.
All right, and how many units are on each side, 23rd Street and 22nd Street? Has that been resolved?
We
I don't-
maintain
you have that
the
number,
horizontal.
John?
We don't have the number, but like per the horizontal distribution, like you can't have more than 2/3 of any floor be affordable. We are only at maximum 41% affordable
We
per
can
any
give you that number. I just don't have it at our
Yeah, we just don't have it on top.
fingertips, but we have that number.
You have the number, but not for the presentation?
Not at my fingertips. No, we don't, but we can get it. We can send it. We'll send it.
What's the question?
How
The
much?
number of units on 23rd Street, the number of units on 22nd Street.
Affordable units on each.
No, actually, total. You had said
Oh,
total
yeah,
was
total.
278, but what's the breakdown?
I don't have that.
I don't have that either.
Okay. And I understand you just mentioned, Alex, the vertical of it, right? So it's not supposed to be more than 65%, which means so that means it can only go up a certain amount.
I was talking about the horizontal. I was saying horizontally, so you were asking about what's the distribution between the two towers, and I'm saying on any given floor, you will know that there's less than 2/3 of the units, less than that would be affordable. But vertically, you're correct. It has to be on 65% of the floors. We are currently on 71% of the floors.
So for 23rd Street, that would be up to the 11th floor. And then for 22nd Street, that's up to the 5th floor. Is that right?
12th floor of 23rd Street.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I think it's.
If you round it up, then it's 12th and 6th. Okay.
No, I think it's 8 and 22nd. I'm just looking at it. There's one affordable unit on 8, be in 8.
Okay.
22nd Street on the distribution chart, Alex.
Okay. And we all know that garbage is a big contention. One thing is also the retail garbage. You have 5 retail spaces, and we have to take into consideration where they would put that garbage as well. In addition to that, looking forward, your rendering shows pizzeria something something, cafe something something, right? I know that that's just for signage purposes, but if we do have, and you said it was vented for restaurant or cafe. So if there's going to be a sidewalk application, how narrow that's going to make the sidewalk as well in terms of, you know, the tree pits and the rest of it. The other thing had to do with the rendering, the close-up of the rendering. If you could have included the desired bus stop / existing bus stop, then we would have a better sense of where any garbage could go in relation to that, right? It's not clear from the current rendering, that's not existent. The other thing that I wasn't sure of in the rendering, I don't know if you want to pull it up again, was in front of 23rd Street. There are these like triangles, black triangles that are big and small. I wasn't sure what all that meant.
Why don't we pull up that slide so we can know what we're talking about?
Okay.
It does look weirdly like it's something on the sidewalk.
On 23rd Street?
Yes, it's the floor plan.
The floor plan?
Yes, and it's the in front of the 23rd Street there. If you
Con Ed vaults. Don't forget the Con Ed vaults.
Does that
That's why you can't have trees in a lot of places.
But there aren't metal gratings that you open up or close, are there?
It's the use. Yes, they are metal gratings, and Con Ed, I think, can open and close them, right?
Okay.
And so we've had to actually locate the retail entrances so that they're not kind of directly aligned with those Con Ed vaults.
Which means garbage can't go on them either.
I don't know about that, but obviously the garbage for the stores has to come out on 23rd Street.
Right, and then if we could go to the slide that showed the greenery again. The in between. All right, I know we talked about this before, but I want to clarify again. That's looking east, correct? Because it's the curved line there.
No, it's looking west.
It's looking west. Okay, so where exactly is that the large open area then?
Yeah, so if you see in plan,
Mm-hmm.
the green area is the open garden, and we were at the right-hand side of that, looking to the left, and the gray corridor is the inside hallway that people walk from one building to the other, that you're looking at in this image. Okay?
The beige, the light skin colored one?
Yeah, is
Okay.
the hallway. It's at the west end of the garden in between.
Okay, and this actually, I think someone raised this, and I think they're right. You're saying that it's covered, but there really is no canopy. It's open air, so that if it does rain, there's not like a pergola or anything, right? I can see the
No,
building down the way.
No, it's entirely indoors, this hallway.
How come it's not reflected in the rendering?
That you're looking through windows into a kind of a 10-foot wide hallway that's glass on both sides. Okay, there's a little bit of garden on the other side. See, when there's a garden on both sides of it, and that's glass so that you can look into each garden as you're walking by.
Right, but if you look up, there's no covering up, right?
No, it's all enclosed. It's
Okay.
inside.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've covered, I think we've covered this ground. So if there are other questions that we haven't covered, let's think about those.
So just to be clear, in terms of the architectural details, these Black associations had wanted and vociferously and enthusiastically tried to get the limestone blocks preserved, not just the cornerstone. But I appreciate the details for that. The other question had to do with the entrance on 23rd Street. Is it only accessible by key fob, or is it generally open during the day for people to pull open versus everyone, like tenants can only go in, so it's a key fob situation?
It's only accessible by key fob.
And I haven't looked at the plans closely. I know you and I discussed this offline, but this building has a sprinkler system, this complex, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't notice any fire escapes. I think delivery at 22nd Street. I think that was it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else online? Just
Nope, we're good.
okay. I think we have wrapped up our questions and reflections on this. Any other notes or thoughts to contribute? Katie, I see your wheels turning. Yes,
I'm
Katie?
just wondering, is there, I know that there's nothing required from us and that
Nothing required.
but I'm wondering, could we send a letter sharing our concerns about the 22nd Street entrance and all the package deliveries on 22nd Street, and just share that we would that the community board would greatly prefer that the packages and there be some sort of entrance on the 23rd Street side instead.
Certainly is an interesting sticking point in this conversation for us. I'm not sure where that letter would go. Go ahead.
Can we ask Transportation Committee to eliminate the parking on 22nd Street and free up for deliveries? Is that a possibility?
There's an alternative.
There's already,
Let's get rid of the free parking on the street.
there's already a space allotted for commercial parking on 22nd Street on the south side of the street after you make the turn from 8th
So on
Avenue.
the north side too?
So there's that.
So that's that way. So that's,
One more question.
yeah, well, hold on. But that sounded to me, you were proposing a letter. Not sure where the letter would go. I think that's the question. But it sounds like it's going to transportation.
It would go to our electeds.
But I'm just, I'm just trying to figure out what is a logical next step if we had.
Well, no,
Or we could draft it to the
It would,
developer.
it would have to go to our electeds. There's no one else to send it to.
Why would an elected be responsive to this?
Well, can I make a suggestion? What we've historically done is the developers here, they're presenting. We can comment back to the developer. We can copy the
Yeah, we can put it
electeds.
in writing.
We can copy HPD, we can copy DOT and say, this is our issues. I understand this application is about the affordable housing of the project, not so much the building, because it is an as of right, and we're not being asked to, say that. But I think that we can clearly have comment from the community, as we always do. This is the whole point of this process, that, maybe it's not always a thing that they're coming to talk to us about that we're raising, but we want to raise it. So I think we send it to developers, we copy the elected, we copy the agencies, we say we think they have to do it. And I think we tell them that these guys have to come back and come talk about resolving some of the issues that we know are going to be a problem, whether it's back to DPC or someone else, then okay.
There were also unanswered questions.
I'd like to add that we add something about the affordability, disbursement, and include more deeply affordable, or suggest to include more deeply affordable units over the 80% AMI.
I'm sorry, I hate to, I'm jumping a little.
Yes.
I think David's very right, but he mentioned the fact that this is a very big project, using a program and a whole thing that we had a lot to say about. And I think it would be smart for someone to take that, look at that letter,
Draw from that.
draw some points, see if there's some points to be drawn.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if there are,
Yep.
but draw
Yep.
some point, if they say if there's some points to be drawn. We're not denying this application because there's no application to deny, but to say we raised these issues when the first thing that happened, and does it make sense to what's being presented today as being a point of concern? I don't know if there are. I can't remember. We wrote literally 4 letters to the City of Yes, and they were all like 500 pages. So I can't say that there is, but I do think it would be of value to someone to take a look at it.
Can I?
Wait, let Pam jump in. Go ahead.
Me?
Yep.
John, at the 23rd Street door, it's a fob. I got that. Is there also an intercom system there whereby tenants in the 23rd Street side can release the door when somebody?
Yes, and cameras, it's all highly controlled. It's all highly controlled by the doorman. Cameras, intercom, all that.
The 23rd Street door is
Yeah.
controlled by the doorman on 22nd Street?
Yeah,
Okay, so packages can be delivered on 23rd Street when the doorman agrees to give access, or a tenant. Can a tenant release that door from their apartment?
no, absolutely not.
23rd?
No,
No,
no.
okay. All right, that answers my question. Thank you.
Paul, I just want to go back to Carrie's point on the deeply affordable. I would recommend we talk to HHSS about that, because often the board takes the position we want higher income bands, not lower income bands. And so, Carrie, we might want to have a conversation with some members of HHSS before taking a position on more deeply affordable. And let's look at the UAP letter, City of Yes letter, and see where we stood as a board.
So I'm just wondering, as we're talking about this, do a draft, we could put something together. I think the group that was in the briefing might want to circle back to the folks that were part of the briefing and then go back to the committee.
Yeah.
Unless we could do it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to pull something together.
My question is that you
will
can
rip
ask
apart.
for deeply affordable, more deeply affordable units and whatnot, but they complying to what HPD requires them to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a suggestion we can make, and we can write to them. That's all
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Agree. I mean, I think this is our first UAP application, if I'm not mistaken. So why not now? And with such lovely and respectful developers as these.
Well said. On that note, I think we should pause this particular part of the conversation. I don't know if we don't even.
I do just want to say Brad has his hand up. Yeah.
Brad, I can't see it from here, so I'm sorry, Brad. Brad.
He didn't have it before. So.
Oh, okay.
I just want to ask, because I'm sure it is the case, that the affordable units are the same finishes, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. I figured, just wanted to put it out there.
So I'm happy to pull a draft of something together for the briefing group to take a look at, and then we can pass it along to the committees. Is that okay?
Okay.
Something we do.
Thank you.
No, you don't.
He's not talking about a letter.
No.
That's separate than what you were.
Yeah, no, I guess it's that. So the question is, you had initially put a letter together, or you were suggesting a letter. I was thinking about this from the perspective of, do we want to sit, well, I don't know. How do we, I should go back to what you said. You wanted a letter. That's right. Should go back to that. Do we have a suggestion as to how to?
I think the suggestion that I'm making
Yeah,
is that we look at our position on the UAPCVS
Yeah.
position we took on the mix. I'm sure that in the 500-page letter, we took a position on the percentage of affordability issues. And so to Carrie's point, I just want to make sure that we're consistent as a board, that whatever position we took earlier on the percentage bands, let's just make sure that aligns.
That's
David's
part of
point is
this.
right. Yep. This is our first, let's take a position on, this is our first, this is what we're seeing, this is what we're recommending. And by the way, 23rd Street, 22nd Street doesn't work for us. But which
then stitches back to what you would.
Right, which is, I think the sort of, I was thinking the main point of the letter was gonna be the sort of 22nd Street versus 23rd Street issue. Our concerns about packages, and that the vast majority of people, because the majority of people live on the 23rd Street side, they're not gonna walk to the 22nd Street side, but then walk through the hallway to get up to the 23rd Street side. Anyway, so yes, I think
that has come across as a critical point to
Yep.
make.
Yep.
The affordability, that we have
Yep.
2 or 3 key
Yep.
elements. We also have previous content that's been drafted that we need to look back at to make sure it's in alignment. So that, I think, connects to what you have suggested and what has been said. And carrying.
Someone just needs to make a motion.
We just need a motion.
I have a motion.
Okay.
Oh.
Second. I
Oh,
second.
wait, I'm sorry.
Specificity.
Do we want to amend that slightly, because your motion, your original communication to me was about 23rd Street. And so now you've heard some other comments
Yes.
about some other pieces. Do you want to make?
I would like to take all of those as friendly amendments that were including the AMI discussion. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Online, we get everybody online? Jesse, I want to make sure we got hands up.
Yeah, is anybody up? I think I see all hands up on our side. Okay.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? P&Es, I'm doing that just because I can't see everybody else. Okay, good. Beautiful. Is John still on? John,
everybody's still on.
John and team, thank you very much for making this time for us. Genuinely appreciated. You have heard our thoughts, reflections, concerns, questions, and we just voted on a letter that we will produce that will be shared, that has our will reinforce some of the content that we've already put out to you during the course of this. But again, I want to say thank you for your time and energy and all of the considerations that you took seriously throughout this process. Much appreciated.
Thanks very much, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, John.
Have a great night. Thank you. We've now entered into the old and new business section. Old and new business. Do you have any old and new business? I'm going to start with Josephine, because we talked about it
Are we
earlier.
gonna talk about the same thing too?
Oh, but you maybe talk about the same.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, we're bringing that up. There was a fire, right, a municipal fire on 7th Avenue and 22nd Street. A building that had been vacant for maybe 2 decades, at least all the time that I had been there.
Tried
was-
4 decades.
Yeah, poorly padlocked, had broken windows, squatters, everything, and it was burned down on a Sunday morning. So I guess my question really is that, is there, like, what does the city do about problems, properties like this where you can't get hold of the owner, this person was skirting the foreclosure process for decades? Well, so how do we address something like this? Obviously, nobody was watching, and I'll let Pamela take over because she must know more.
I need to take over, actually. But from information that our members of our block association have gathered, the building was actually taken by the city into foreclosure, not really foreclosure, just receivership, and was sold at auction in, I think it was November or December, I forget the date, for some really pitiful small amount of money.
This was last November, December.
This was 2025. Wow.
After this,
Recently, there is a new owner. Legally, at the moment, there is a new owner of the building. Everybody jumped on every kind of nasty thing they could say about how this building had been left to deteriorate, about the homeless people, about the drug addicts, about the encampments, about squatters. None of that was true as far as this fire was concerned, apparently, according to the 13th precinct and the 10th. A woman who is known as an arsonist in this city was seen on videos from private security cameras on 22nd Street and 100 block. Several times at the time this fire happened, she has been arrested. That's all I can give you on that topic. Fire originated clearly because of the videos that we've all seen. The earliest videos show the building totally intact, except for the fire column. The north door, the entry door on 7th Avenue, which is at the north end of the building, was a door with a screen. The flag glazed, but the glazing was gone. There was a wire screen with a padlock running through it, which was the security on the door. That padlock and that chain are there at this very moment. They were not breached. What was breached was the fire department when they went through the door. Somebody, this woman apparently, we don't know for certain, but she's been busted, must have thrown something to ignite. There's a mail slot in that door, and forever and ever and ever, the mail has been going on and piling up immediately and on the floor immediately behind that door. That's where the fire originated, and it immediately went up the staircase, which is a separate staircase with no access from that staircase into the ground floor. It went straight up. It's burned. I don't know how much of it is still there. The floor joists and the upper floors went up for sure. There's a lot of video showing those floor joists where the ceilings fell and the floor joists were aflame. The whole thing on the top, which was copper clad, the addition that this guy had put on many decades ago for his wife to have an artist studio, was built of 2x4s clad with copper. The 2x4s are gone. The copper is standing there, kind of ready to go. It's been barricaded now, not just against the facade of the building to secure the building itself, but there is a barricade enclosing the entire sidewalk, so that to pass, you have to go into the street to get by on both elevations, 22nd and 7th. I don't know how much more information. I would like to know what other people, including CB4, has further word about what's going to happen. I know that the owner, having discovered that his building had been sold at auction, he did not know that because he was not informed. The delivery for that was to that building through that mail slot. So it's lying on the floor inside there. Probably the first thing burned. Once he found out about it, he immediately initiated lawsuits, several of them. He's very litigious anyway. He's got lawsuits all over the country. And no, I don't have a clue about where any of that stands. So there, that's as much as I can give you. Obviously, we really want to know. The building immediately west, 203, is for sale, and I don't believe anyone was living in it at the time of the fire. The building to the north, 7th Avenue building, was fully populated, and I believe it was evacuated during the fire. I don't know if those apartments that immediately abut 210 have been reoccupied or.
I saw tenants in them.
Say again?
I saw tenants in them.
So tenants are back. Okay, so the fire department was, the firemen were on the roof of that building, protecting that building, and also on 203 on 22nd Street. So they didn't burn amazingly, given the intensity of that fire. That was one hell of a fire.
Josephine, what would you use?
Just back to my original point.
Yeah.
Like, what's the system for tracking these buildings? You say,
Question specifically about vacancies, I think is what it is. Hold on one second, hold that thought.
I think it's, I mean, I'm gonna have to step out, so but I don't need to not be interested in this conversation. I would just also note like this was on the city's radar and really anybody who lived
Yes,
there, but like
yes.
Eric Botcher knew about
Right.
this, like
Yes.
I think that maybe a meeting with, I don't know, even our electeds to say like, how do we deal with buildings like this going forward? Because clearly there's like a log jam that needs some kind of policy. I don't know what it is, but
I
it's
agree.
not enough just
Yes.
to elevate that we report them because it was a well-known abandoned building.
Yeah, if it's called a derelict rather than abandoned, you can't classify it as abandoned as long as the owner pays his property taxes, which this guy always did. Which is what we were told, that the reason the city could not take the building over was because, unless it was
But then they
structurally
did.
unsound, was because he paid his property taxes.
But then they did.
He owed a lot of money in fines, and that was why they took the building, apparently, but there must have been a change in the rules that we weren't informed of. Because it was taking out $80,000 worth of, I think it's water and sewer,
No,
and
it was
also
it was a
fines.
DEP lien.
Say again?
It was a lien against it's the water bill, right? So every year DEP does this and whoever doesn't pay their water bills, they auction off and literally anybody, if you haven't paid your water bill on your property, can come and basically buy your bill and then they basically own your debt and you're in trouble until you deal with it and they can take your property.
So this is obviously a harrowing, concerning, troubling circumstance.
An interesting point here is that we were told year after year, our group, our block association, every time, and also our elected officials and anybody else who got involved, including Chris Quinn, when she was running the city. We were always told that you could not take over a property for water and sewer. It had to be real estate.
Well, I'm just saying that if it
So-
was a water bill, that's what happens. I mean, I'm not saying that's what.
I think, I don't want to lose the thread here. This is a harrowing, troubling circumstance.
Anyway, the guy was unaware, and now he's suing
And
everything.
to go back to your earlier point, a project item for this group could be to think about what buildings are, derelict or otherwise that we may have concerns about, and for us to be able to talk to our new elected official on the city level about their investment in that once that's voted on shortly.
I have to say something that's also
Sure,
very
sure,
concerning to me,
sure.
because I had a conversation with Lieutenant Rice. And Lieutenant Rice, he's the person who had said that this woman had been apprehended and she apparently had suffered from mental illness. And I find it very troubling that this building was just sold a few months ago, and now all of a sudden, it's been set on fire by a person who may or may not be able to. It's just very concerning, so.
I'm sorry, I'm missing your point. Are you suggesting?
I'm not suggesting, I'm just saying that that's all I wanna say.
Yeah, I
So,
think there's a
if you
number of.
look Closer look, the whole thing, all of it, from everybody knowing what was going on at that building, not everybody, but all of our city agencies having an understanding that it had been there for decades and nothing was ever done about it. And now all of a sudden, a few months ago, it's been sold, what you're saying, and then there's this fire by a person who is troubled.
So multiple layers here. Again,
Yes.
I'm going to reinforce the idea that perhaps this committee can take on some focus to think about buildings. I think there is a separate conversation to be had about mental illness and how it is that we as a community board support those or engage with those or ensure safety as it relates to the public health and welfare of residents. So I'm just going to ask that we identify this as a project for this body to be thinking about and to educate our new elected official about. But Katie had her hand up and then I'll go to Jerry.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering if it's worth a letter, because I think we are uniquely well situated this month to write a letter about, that we are very alarmed that this is but one example. And there was this tremendous fire because there seems to be some issue in the city that means that derelict buildings aren't can't be more quickly addressed, and that it leads to a lot of problems, and then it leads to these potential, fires. And I'm just wondering if instead of waiting to talk to our newly elected person who might not be able to do a lot about it, if there might be, I don't know. If it's a bigger letter.
And my suggestion was this is something this committee can take a look at. And I think we can use this as something to focus on, this particular thing. But I think this sounds like something that we have an interest in, and just to bring it back, you were saying it's not just this building. And I think there's probably something important about putting something together that says, we're worried about these derelict buildings. We don't want the same circumstance to happen, and I would suggest that perhaps that's something this body could be focused on. But a letter is perfectly reasonable and rational too. I was just wondering whether we pocket it for a minute so we can get more information.
Is there a way that we could, could get information about what the intention is now with this building? Has it been condemned? Is it about to come down, or?
I think that's part of what a group that was working on the project would be thinking about.
I mean, I'm happy to find out what I can find out.
I would love,
Obviously,
Jesse, I would
if
be
it's a-
grateful.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, if it's a private property,
Yeah.
then it's really the city, I mean, the city can tell them to vacate, the city can say you have another damaged building to demo, as we know that they've done that on occasion.
Yes.
And that's up, and again, but it's the private property owner that's up to them to do what they're gonna do to do with it.
There.
No, just to say that the city's database, DOB's database, actually does keep a record of derelict buildings. How well they track it, I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
And finance department and DOB both actually share the database, that I do know.
Yeah, so it's a good thing for us to take a look at, see where we're at.
So it's there somewhere, but nobody's watching it. Like
I
it
don't
just
think they
is
track it.
noted somewhere.
Let's take a look and see what we learn, okay? Other old new business?
Actually, I don't know of another derelict building in Chelsea. Does anybody know where there's any other buildings that are
I
ready?
think the
to
point
go?
was to take a look and see.
The point is to find out.
Let's find out.
Because
Let's
we
take a look.
certainly deal with that in Hell's Kitchen a lot, what we call it demolition and neglect.
Yeah,
There are
yeah.
lots of landlords who neglect their properties, and then they do something else with them in the future,
But
so
this
it's
is-
not uncommon.
Oldest house in Chelsea? Just putting it out there.
I'm sure it happens in Chelsea.
Okay, but I don't know
Not the
where
oldest
they are.
house in Chelsea, Pamela?
Just to
The
look at it.
electricity is turned off, the gas, thank God,
Understood.
is turned off, building has no.
We'll look at the database and we'll see what we learn. Other old new business? We're gonna go to public testimony. Carrie, hold on. Dave's got his hand up, then we'll go Carrie. Go ahead.
Yeah, we sent a letter last month to the mayor asking him to appoint a preservation committee landmarks
Yes.
chair and
Yes.
commissioners, and a couple of weeks ago, the executive director of the Landmarks Commission was promoted to chair. Her name was Lisa Savage. I know some people in the preservation community who have not had good experiences with her, will withhold judgment for now.
Mhm.
They are still hopeful that commissioner appointments will be more in line with their thinking.
Thank you, Dave.
And tomorrow, Pamela will read our testimony on 549 West 26th Street. That's the building where the openings on the first floor were built, not according to what landmarks have approved.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just really quickly, some of us met with Eric Washington and the coalition he put together for the former colored school number 4. Not a ton to report except that they are continuing on with the archaeological dig and we just had we got caught up on, and had I feel like we left with an understanding that we need to work more closely together and make sure that, we know what each other is doing. So at this point, we are waiting for those results, and then we can start to focus on the actual construction of the building.
I just want to add to that, Carrie, that they were also, they're looking at funding, of course.
Yes.
So I want to keep them on our radar for this next budget.
Yeah, it's certainly an interest to think about this for, I think we talked about the May meeting, potentially having this as a topic to bring back up. Any other old and new business? Time for public testimony.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I apologize.
I
We
can't
got our
see.
hand up.
So sorry, I can't see the screen.
No, I'm sorry. It's okay. Twee, you have your hand up. Was this old or is this for public testimony now?
This has to do with new business, 7th Avenue, 22nd.
Okay. Sorry.
You mentioned you weren't, in terms of being a public or private entity, it's not, I ran into Pam actually and a DOB person before the big green structure came up. There was still low lying, and Pam was pointing out to me what was copper, what was tin roof. I asked the DOB person if the FDNY report came out yet, and they said that they were still there still was no determination as to what this was. So the question is whether or not, whether it's clear who would have access to it. Would CB4 have access to it? Would it only be the private entity, which is an LLC? It's Chelsea 210 LLC with no name associated with it. And, you know,
So Tia, your question is whether CB4 would have access to the FDNY report?
Yes.
I mean, yes, we would have access in the sense of anybody else having access and actually doing a FOIL. It's not, I mean, it's not something that would ever get sent.
It's not a public, that's not a.
It's not a document that would be sent to us
as
as
foiled.
Yeah, it's not like a crime stat or something like that.
And a sidebar question had to do with the fact that the LLC doesn't have a name. I thought when Brad Horelman Siegel was state senator, he had some sort of law that passed that saying you can't hide behind an LLC and that you had to have a name associated with it. Didn't that happen or no?
I'd have to check the law on that. I don't know off the top of my head, but that is something worthy of searching.
Okay.
Hold on. So we don't have an answer to that, but I guess we'll have to take a look. What else?
Well,
Any other questions or reactions?
the only other comment, thank you for listening, but the only other comment had to do with the ownership is under court review. The fact that there were these violations that had happened that the owner did not realize because he never received them. And then they were, I think, transferred over to I think what Pam was called administrator. And then there was an auction where I think the sheriff told the owner that he had to leave the auction, so he had problems with that. That's why there's all this, it's really hard to tell who really owns it, even though Chelsea 10 LLC is the one who quote unquote officially owns it. The owner is being litigious and starting in Article 78 saying that the city did not do the right thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else online?
We do, but I want to do public testimony.
Public testimony in the room first.
Okay, a couple things.
Well, you gotta come up here and then just introduce you gotta say your name. We got 2 minutes, you're on the clock. One up here. Thank you.
Hi, Matthew Robinson. A couple of things I want to talk about. One, in terms of the colored school, I've gone through all the documentation of the building and the adjacent buildings. A lot of buildings are commingled in terms of legal things, in terms of easements in the rear of the building and stuff like that. I have seen the drawings. I've actually started drawing up to them in 3D in AutoCAD. Well, I'm sorry, in Revit. In addition to it, I might have access to where I can get a point cloud done on that building so that there's a 3D model, 3D analysis of that building. That's for free. But I need access into the building. That's one thing. 17th and 6th, there's supposed to be some activity. Also 18th Street and 10th Avenue, the Star Diner, is that the name of it? Is history in another couple of weeks. In play are some of the other buildings, so there's an assemblage going on. It's not just the existing site that is available right now or that you see right now. Also in the space that's south of it, 17th Street and 10th Avenue, I started seeing, the doors were open. They started putting some of the furniture, some of the kitchen equipment and stuff like that. So that's still going to be an active building. I don't think it's going to be in play in terms of the assemblage of
the artichoke pizza place.
Correct. So that's not going to be in play, but I also believe that on 18th Street, in play will be where the Verizon had its trucking things, because Verizon trucking is no longer there, so that it will go further east than you might imagine in terms of things. So just keep an eye out on that. And again, 17th and 6th Avenue, there's assemblage of properties going up there. And I think the building on 16th Street where there was a fire, which was a laundromat, there may be play in that too. So there's a lot of buildings where there's a lot of play going on. Some of it I know of, some of it I don't. But also the Barney's building is, that renovation is going to happen very soon.
Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Any other public testimony?
Okay,
online.
Lydia Andre.
Lydia, floor is yours. 2 minutes, please.
Hi, it's very apropos that you had the proposal you had today for universal affordability preference rental building, because I'm here to just call everyone's attention to a project that is happening in the village. I know it's not our community board, but I think it's instructive. It is a tower going up at 5 West 13th Street, and Andrew Berman had a long article about it and a letter to city planning, because it's an example of something that we were told City of Yes would not allow, which is a type of building which is actually a skyscraper of 538 feet that is being developed not as a UAP building, which we expected it would have been at that location, but as a 36 resident ultra luxury tower. And as Andrew Berman points out, it's because City of Yes is a very flawed document and it needs many administrative corrections in order to get the zoning to be what they told us it would be. And I just want to call this group's attention to this letter. I think it's worth reading because I believe you are about to be hit with a tsunami of these kinds of projects. And I think we should all be prepared to take a good look, just like I think it was Paul who said we have to look again at the letter you wrote about requirements under UAP. I think everybody has to take a good look at what's going on with these City of Yes bulk buildings that are being proposed in ways that we never expected they would happen, and see if there's an opportunity for administrative corrections to be worked on with our council member to be and through the community board. And that's it. Thanks. 5 West 13th Street.
Thank you. Any other public? Nope, we're good. Seeing as we have completed our agenda and covered all new business, will comments, I'm gonna ask for an adjournment at this particular time.
Just one quick thing.
Or maybe
Did
not.
you say we were moving forward a meeting on code school number 4?
I'm gonna suggest that we put that on our May agenda.
Okay, would that mean bringing in DSMY again?
Well, let's talk about who the right folks are in the room and make them more of the session than we had last time.
Right, and have the architect there.
Specifically have their,
I think we can strategize who the right folks are, but again, I don't want to do the same thing. Absolutely, it was an Eric Washington. So just so you're aware, I because we had these 2 presentations, thought it would make sense to push former colleagues for a set period of time, so there's no interruption. Eric Washington has to be in that conversation. Again, we'll have to think about scheduling, but I think we want to make the most of the conversation that we have.
Can I ask a favor? If we're gonna ask the architect to come, I think it'd be appropriate, not so we don't end up in the same situation, is to have a set of questions that we expect the architect to answer. And so we can have those in advance, not too advanced, so they can just send us a letter and say, we answered your questions, but in advance of that presentation. So we're saying we want the architect to come, not just the sanitation, government relations, deputy commissioner, but the architect, and here's the reason why I want them, and here's the question. So if I could work with, if I could have that information from May.
Yeah, so what we have.
Absolutely fine, but I would like to point out that when we get a presentation on a landmark building, typically it's actually from the architect.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. If we're asking for a presentation from a landmarks perspective, that's something separate. I think that's what we're asking. Then yeah, I agree with you. But we're just saying sanitation, come back. We're not going to get anything different than what we had last time unless we specifically say why we want them, what the information we want, and why we want the architect.
I think the desire was this should be a top. Yes, Karen.
I'm just, and Josephine, correct me if I'm wrong, but the team that we spoke to asked that we pause for a minute on the architectural drawings and plans so that they can get this dig done. And the dig is happening. So it's like, I don't know if we're too early. Like, I just want to know, like, is the committee's point of view that we are moving forward separately from them, or are we trying to work together? Like, so, because,
let me jump in, Gary, to say thank you. I was thinking that former colored school 4 would be appropriate as an agenda topic for May. There is no desire to have a session that repeats ground we've already had, and I don't think there's the desire necessarily to set in motion something that is out of alignment. I think the reality is we know that Eric Washington had a convening. Some folks heard that, some didn't. There's some overlay from the last conversation with follow-up questions we have not gotten answers to. I'm simply going to say at this point, it's a topic, and we'll have to unpack how to make the most of that topic. We don't have anything scheduled right now, except to say, I think it would be a beneficial topic. But I think it has to have focused questions, clarity as to what we want to cover. And certainly we don't want to insert ourselves at a moment that would take this in the direction that wouldn't be beneficial to everybody who's had a hand in it thus far.
I don't understand the answer. I'm sorry. I'm just asking for
So the answer is
clarity.
this,
Is the committee moving forward on its own with pursuing architectural drawings and having this discussion again with sanitation? Or are we waiting, as we've been asked to do by the group that, seems to be having traction with DSNY and doing what they're suggesting? So that's all I just want to know.
Oh, I totally understand that and I appreciate that. Carrie, I was suggesting that it might be beneficial to talk about former public school number 4 at the May meeting. There was no additional expectation associated with that. Just that it was a topic that may be beneficial. There's no agenda set.
Oh, sorry. I thought I heard Jesse say DSNY was coming and we should have questions. So
He was riffing on the idea that if we were going to do something, it could have those folks at the table. Right now, it is nothing more than a potential agenda topic. Dave, go ahead and then just.
Yeah, here's why I don't think it's premature. At the last presentation by Joshua Goodman, Deputy Commissioner of DSNY, he said that about half of the facade brick that needed to be replaced had already been replaced in the kind of white colored brick. And he said that it had Landmark's approval. I walked by, it didn't look like that was the case to me, but it really alarmed me. We wouldn't want any of the millions of dollars that have been set aside for the project to be going into that and kind of locking that design decision in. And he also said that the windows in the building, which appear to be actually miraculous survivors from the 19th century, could not be saved by any means because they're not properly fire rated. And he seemed very reluctant to, the notion that there are ways of having them protected and still satisfy the Department of Buildings, which happens all the time. I'm concerned that they're going to throw those out. It seems to me like very critical facade elements are at risk. And we want to point that out, I think, to the Landmarks Commission. And
so is that a letter, David, right now? Like if we're very concerned, like is that something we want to write a letter on today, or this month?
Well, I think it also warrants some discussion with the architect, who ought to be the one who's been having discussions with LPC, and these don't need to wait until the archaeology is done. It would certainly help to know whether the full thickness of the original facade exists under that white brick.
Mm-hmm.
That could be proven with a simple probe. It might help advance the project down the road once the archaeology is done.
Let's pause there again.
Just one more quick thing. I just want to, I think then I understand what you're saying, that we should just can you send me an email outlining your concerns so that I can send it to Eric and let them know this is why we are asking them to come back, so that they don't feel like we're doing something that they specifically asked us not to do.
Yeah, so I'm not, Carrie, just to reiterate, I was suggesting perhaps in putting this topic on the meeting. If we were going to put it on the meeting agenda, we'd have to have a structure for it. I think it's beneficial to have a conversation about what that might look like. You have flagged, and it is important and reasonable for this group not to be operating out of alignment with what efforts and strategies are being. This was simply an agenda topic. David, to you and to Carrie, if you want to have a conversation and you want to communicate in that regard because of the urgency, David, from your perspective, in terms of what you're flagging, Carrie, I hear you saying you're willing to receive that and to make that event. That's not related to the committee. That's related to community board member to community board member. For me, from where I sit, if there's going to be an agenda topic and we want to cover it in an agenda, I want to make sure that this committee has a structure for how that will happen. If there's concerns that you have, we can share those member to member. But again, I don't have a set format to what the topic itself will look like.
Good.
Go ahead. Did Viren or Josephine, anybody on this end? Okay.
We're good.
Pamela, I see your finger up. Go ahead.
I would point out that the Department of Sanitation does an absolutely amazing job for us all over the city. They are not preservationists. There's not a preservationist bone in any of them. I would expect one of these days, like next week, to walk past that building on my way to Housing Works and see plywood up and all of the window openings. That will be the end of any of those absolutely stunning windows on the upper floor. 16 light windows they are. You know what that is? You ever see anything that looks like that anywhere? I mean, my God. And I've seen them up close and they are in damn good shape. They are not rotten. The sash themselves, they're not rotten. They're not falling apart. They don't even have broken windows except. So there is, my point is that there is urgency here because tomorrow it could be over.
Message received that there is urgency.
Good.
You as a committee board member, committee member sharing that. Go ahead.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? One last note for those of you who are on, Carrie, David, and others, if we are going to put this agenda topic on the agenda next time, I will want to make sure that it is in alignment with all the different types of conversations and topics that are concerned to us in this room and outside of it. Okay, not going to put anything on the agenda that we can't dig into too thoughtfully. Carrie, thank you very much.
Thank you.